This is the Final Round Podcast, coming to you live from the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt. Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this edition of the Final Round Drag Racing Podcast. Excited to have you along for the ride this evening. It's going to be a busy one. We've got a bunch of guests here in the studio. We're going to be adjusting some things on the fly as we go. Jason has made the trip in for the evening. Excited to have Jason along, and that is not where you usually sit, is it?
I said that's where I usually sit, right? But yeah, because we have a full house tonight, that was Chris Scarlatta instead. So I've given up the number 2 seat to Chris. He's going to be the co-host, and I'll be a guest. How about
Fantastic. That? So we'll get that up and going here as we go. So your days have been far calmer than usual, not nearly as much travel, not nearly as much going on.
Yeah, no, it has been it's been pretty simple living, I guess, recently, just with between really working from home, and there's a lot of customers still that just aren't ready to see salespeople yet. So you're basically just doing that, and obviously with the holidays, business slows down in general too. So just kind of hanging out and. Every once in a while, stopping by Randy Jewell's shop just to see how the Corvette header project is going. And I got news earlier this week that the headers were off. The old headers were off of it. It's up on the lift, and some construction is taking place. So we're making some progress there.
You want to talk about the phone call that you just got?
It wasn't that I just got it, but we certainly could. We're obviously trying to. Looking at put together a schedule for 2021, but it's kind of hard to do at this point. Obviously with COVID and its current situation, I mean, as you and I talked before that we went on the air here, if you would have told me back in March that, in December we were still going to be doing this, I would have thought you were out of your mind. And, here we are in December, and I don't know what to do, quite frankly, with regards to a schedule. Mary Ann Matcham from Dragway 42 has called me and, kind of looked to see what we can possibly do for 2021. And I don't know what the answer is to that. The biggest issue that I see is just with New York State's regulations, rules and regulations that, when you travel out of state to come back into state and have to go and basically self-quarantine for, 10 days or whatever the heck it is, and get a COVID test and do all the rest of these things. It's like, what sportsman drag racer in their right mind is going to go travel to Ohio for a weekend race? Ben's raising his hand. So yeah, I mean, you're going to get people that some people would go, obviously, but you're going to have some people that would basically say, hey, you know what, I can't do it because if work finds out that I went, they'd be upset with me. So here we are. So I'm not sure what we're going to do. I mean, it might be an Empire only 2021, but I'm not ready to make a decision just yet. I mean, it's only December 10th, so we still have plenty of time before we're racing in 2021. But I'm just hopeful that we start getting vaccinations out there to take care of this so that we can all go back to leading normal racing lives, I guess. Sure.
Well, you made reference to some of our guests. Chris Scarlatta joining us here in studio. Ben Haight and Phil Scarlatta joining us as well, and as Jason referenced, making the trip out to Piedmont to compete in the big dollar bracket event to I would assume cap 2021. Who knows? There's some craziness that could still ensue. You're going to be y'all done after this, or you're gonna go out one more time?
This one we're done. Yeah. We're already torn down.
Yep.
Yeah, we're already torn down, and hopefully we'll be ready to get back together soon.
So how did the race go?
Well, Jason, I went down and got my butt whooped for about 3 straight days, and car works phenomenal. Car came home in one piece. We had a lot of hiccups with the motorhome. Hit a coyote.
Oh, really?
No. I got down there, the furnace went on me, so I woke up on Friday morning. It was about 35 in the motorhome. Shower work though. We had hot water.
So you went and stood in the hot shower to keep warm.
Unfortunately, when he got out, it was pretty rough. It was racing wise. I got beat up pretty good, and then I tried to tuck my buddy in to drive in the car for the 20K event. I had a bad day Friday. Head wasn't in it. You know what I mean? I tried to talk him into it. And,
Yeah.
Thanks. I appreciate the offer, but I got my own car here. Yada yada yada. It's just the normal something Chris Scarlatta would say. And then I finally talked to him on it Sunday. Hey, listen, we haven't put nothing together. Let's swap it. I drive yours, you drive mine.
Yeah.
And then started to roll a little bit. Chris he was in the third round already. I was yet to go in second round. And then just it wouldn't stop raining on us. We had a couple breaks where maybe we could have got him going, but no shot. No shot with Sunday, but either way, we ended the year, nothing broke. We did get home in one piece, missing a couple pieces, but it's all back.
So what did they do? So it started raining on Sunday.
Sunday, in the middle of round 2, it started raining, then they started sending more cars down. Chris got through, and I was about 2 pairs out, and it just started monsooning. The skies just opened up, and we were no longer in eliminations after that. They decided to chop it up and send us on our way home.
So you did go home with some money then. It wasn't.
We salvaged about a quarter of what we went down.
Right. Yeah, that definitely stinks, especially if you're starting just to get into a roll, right? You want to try to keep that momentum going and see if you can turn that into something, especially after you potentially aren't doing all that great. So it definitely kind of stinks that ends up happening. But at the same point in time, well, at least you got yourself a little bit of money.
Sunday we definitely turned it around a bit. It really stinks that.
And you did switch cars.
We did. Yes. We switched cars both our entries. I drove his for my 2, and he drove mine for his 2. And we actually decided to put something together. And unfortunately, I think my buddy here, Christopher, was going to be on a roll. He put on a pretty good performance in his 3 hits he took. So it sucks we couldn't get it through. But, at the end of the day, that's racing. Mother Nature doesn't always cooperate with us.
Right. And would you just say in your particular case that it was just not having your head in the game, or?
With all the stuff that happened, so I let my buddy, a good buddy of mine, Josh, borrow my Suburban to go down.
Yeah.
He was going to rent a car and come see the race, and he had family that's about an hour from the racetrack.
Okay.
And, he was having issues possibly affording the rental car to get down, didn't trust any of his cars. I said, my Suburban's perfect. Just, rent it from me, follow me down. If anything happens with the motorhome, I can put it on the trailer on the truck, and we can get to where we need to go.
Yeah.
Well, on his excursion to his aunt's house, he smoked my tranny. So my Suburban is still in Carolina.
No.
The Fletcher's new residence down there.
Okay.
So we don't know when we're going to get it. But we're going to get it eventually. We don't know how. We're just going to do it.
So you had a smoke transmission in the Suburban, no heat in the motorhome, hit a coyote in the motorhome.
Lost the antenna on the motorhome.
These were all separate incidents? Well, obviously the Suburban incident was separate, but we don't think that the hitting the coyote didn't make the antenna fly off or didn't take out the furnace or...
No. Man, I've
coyote
got no
was
idea.
on the way home, right?
Yeah. So was the antenna. I no explanation for it, man. There's bad weekends, and there's the weekend like that. So
it was a good time, Jason. We did actually have fun. The weather was gorgeous.
Yes.
For the most part until Sunday.
Yeah. Record-breaking car count.
Oh, really?
Almost 500 the first Friday. It was almost 500.
Wow.
530 something, I think, on Saturday.
Yep.
No buybacks, no re-entries, all 3 days.
I like that.
No
That
re-entries.
was the biggest door car race in history, I do believe. All door cars.
Now, who put that race on?
That's Michael Beard.
It was one of Michael Beard's races,
Yep.
okay.
They just dropped their new event, which we got excited about for a couple minutes earlier today, for their new St. Patrick's Day Classic, which is going to be at Galat Motorsports Park.
Okay.
I mean, what a dream racetrack that place looks like. I've never personally been there. Haven't yet. And then we found out the entry fee for the week was about $2,900 and said, unless we win a free entry in a raffle or something, I don't think we're going to hit that one.
So what are they doing? What is that particular race? Is that $500,000 a win or something crazy?
What are they doing? They have, what is it, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday?
Okay.
350Ks, and then Saturday, I believe, is 300K. So that's a $2,000 entry fee for just that race.
Yeah. I would say, I don't know who the heck it was we talked to, but for the million, I guess it doesn't surprise me that a lot of the guys do when they go down for that race is that they don't enter the million race. They enter the 50K, 100K races. And if they win one of those, then all right, we're going to parlay those winnings into an entry for the million. But otherwise, I'm just a spectator for the million race. And I can understand why, because, quite frankly, I mean, you talk about those kind of entries for working stiff like me, it's too rich for my blood. I can't justify it.
I couldn't fathom spending $2,000 in a day. Just, you know what I mean? If I had it like that, absolutely.
Right. Yeah, no, it's really hard, and unfortunately with drag racing, not to say if you go to one of those events, you have to be willing to throw money at the race, right, and buy back every single round, I mean, not only if you don't have your head in it, but I mean, who knows? You're going to go up there and some stupid $5 piece is going to break on you, and there goes your $2,000 entry because of something really stupid. And that's always been my biggest concern. Not that I can't necessarily hang with the big boys, which I probably can't, but just that something would let me down. And I have to say, I think my wife would be pretty understanding, but I don't think I'd want to make a habit of blowing $2,000 entries left and right.
Yeah, for sure.
Some 700 on the weekend? Sure.
Yeah.
For 3 shots at, I mean, whatever the purse may be. So what, Piedmont was $740 to double the whole weekend. It had shot at 10, 20, 10. I mean, so you have 6 total opportunities.
Right.
At 10, 20, then 10. For $740, it's fathomable. You have 6 shots. $2,000 on one hit. I mean, that's $2,000. You could get 2 hits down that racetrack and you're done.
Well, and I get it too, because you are talking about, really life-changing money. If you were to be able to put together 12 rounds in a row of great passes, it is life-changing money. But for me, I can only do life-changing money $1 at a time at the local convenience store. Your odds are obviously better. You go to one of those races, I don't know, what do they have for a number of entries for, let's say 500 people. So if your chances really are as good as 1 in 500, all right, $2,000, you have a 1 in 500 chance of winning $500,000. It's a much better chance than playing the lottery, but
absolutely,
it is 500 hitters that are there.
Right. I mean, it's just our last go. And if you're not 15 total or better, man, you're not in the gym. You're not. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. You let go 20, you're behind.
Right.
And any given day at Empire Dragway or at, a local racetrack around here, where there's talent in every corner where we race for sure. 20 you can slide through. 20 it's starting to get rough at Empire.
Right.
20 in Super Pro. I mean, you might be behind.
Yeah. There's no doubt.
Absolutely.
So now this was a door car only race.
Yes.
Okay. I was going to ask Chris what car you were driving, but obviously if it was a door car only race, you were driving the door car.
Yep, I took the Firebird. Yep. So the deal was, Dad and I got in it together. He paid for an entry. I paid for an entry.
Okay.
And then he said, just drive the car, and let's take our chances in it. And like Ben said, the first 2 days, Jason, were rough.
For you too?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I was okay. The car was all over the place because it's really not set up for that.
Yeah.
It's set up to nitrous racing.
Right.
So
I was just going to ask, do they allow nitrous at those races?
Yeah. Which we had talked about, and I said I didn't want to beat it up
because
we had planned on it. But looking back on it,
I wish I would have.
I wish I would have. Because it creates its own atmosphere at that point.
Yeah.
So it's going to maintain itself more consistent.
Oh, yeah.
And man, looking back on it, but like Ben said, Ben came to us Saturday night, and he's like, "Let's just switch." And Dad and I look at each other, and we're like, "Yeah,
can't hurt at this point,
right?" So Ben had seat time in the car.
You've driven the Firebird before, Ben.
I got to drive the Firebird at Sierra's Twin 75 Hondas.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
So he had seat time in the car, and I said, "Get in it, put your numbers in it," and they gave me a new time hit Sunday morning in Ben's car.
Oh, okay.
And the last time I had sat in it was the year before. So I hadn't raced it all year.
Yep.
And the car was phenomenal. Ben's car is phenomenal. I mean, would it move in 4 runs, 4,000?
4,000.
Wow.
I mean, just if the car was not going to let you down.
Yeah.
You were gonna let yourself.
Yep.
So like Ben said, we finally got rolling, and then of course it rains. So we were looking to do something, but what are you gonna do? So, but yeah, it was a good time. Overall, it was a good time. Nothing, motors didn't blow up, our cars didn't break. So
You didn't hit any coyotes?
Dad and I fortunately made it home safely. So no broken pieces on our end.
Now, Ben, did you come right home, or because of the Suburban, did you have to deal with that and take that over?
We had to finagle with a couple things. I got stuck waiting there. Uncle Phil and Christopher rode out, so I collected all our purse money, and my buddy, who had my truck, had to go pick up a rental car. So his cousin came to pick him up from the racetrack and forgot his wallet conveniently. So they had to go back to his house, then back to get the rental car. So I was at the racetrack till about midnight.
Are you guys still friends?
Yeah, he's a good kid. It's hard to hate him. I definitely took a couple days before I said a word to him. But, whatever. And I had to wait there, with his wife and kids.
Yeah.
It's raining out. What kind of man would I be if I left a
Right.
lady with her kids out in a rainstorm? So
Two beautiful little girls.
Yeah, beautiful.
yeah, good, great kids.
Yeah.
His wife is very nice. You know what I mean? I really don't have any complaints other than he's coming with me for that 12-hour ride to go get it. All in all, great time. Good people, always a great time. Just we had bad luck in the wrong places that weekend, so it hurt.
So where did you hit the coyote?
About 4 minutes from my house.
Really?
I didn't see him come out of the ditch, and it's just that surprising noise that you never want to hear. I thought I hit like a pallet in the road or something, so I pulled over just to check all the tires on it. And just blood, guts. Oh my goodness, Jason! My trailer was annihilated. The front of my trailer was absolutely.
Is that what you hit him with? As the trailer?
No, I caught it on the front corner of the motorhome, and the motorhome chewed it up, and threw it onto my trailer. So unhooking the trailer from the motorhome was an experience. Yeah, the power washing, thanks, Dad, was pretty rough. And then I took the motorhome out. A week later to get it, or to go dump, the septic tank in it, and it smells, man. Ooh,
wow.
It's bad. It's rough. So that's up at the repair shop now.
I wonder if, I hit a deer with my motorhome now. I got lucky. There was a few of them, a couple of them made it across, and the last one didn't, and motorhome hit it right in the head, right at the front, and basically killed it instantly. But, you see deer, obviously a tractor trailer, hits it straight on. It does some pretty nasty damage to it. But, I wonder, actually, was the coyote potentially from what you're telling me, it sounds like that coyotes aren't necessarily built as sturdy maybe as a deer might have been.
Oh, no, that coyote felt absolutely nothing. No, that coyote felt nothing. I got him good. I called to get a police report, and cop shows up. Where is it?
Well,
half a mile back there. Well, why did it take you so long to stop? Well, sir, I have 72 foot of rig that I'm not necessarily going to swing out of the way for it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's kind of a loss at this point. If I hit it, I hit it. It's, unfortunately, stuff like that happens. But you win some, you lose some. That's why we go drag racing.
Now, how much damage to the rig was there?
The headlight brackets are gone. The front corner, the fiberglass is all chewed up. The door's a little bent. The step doesn't come out. The generator doesn't turn on. She's seen better days.
Well, mostly cosmetic. The generator is the one thing that obviously you're going to have to get. I'm guessing it's probably the start button, the wiring for the starter or something like that.
No idea. Still to this point, I don't care. I don't even care that my truck's in Carolina at this point. Still, yeah, we're still.
Well, worry about it in the spring.
Yeah, no, we're gonna worry about it in about a week. I think I'm gonna go down in about a week and get it. As Tim goes back down to his house in Carolina, I'll ride down there, hang out with him for the weekend, and dolly at home or something.
So yeah, last time we talked to you, you were actually on the phone at rehearsal, I think.
Rehearsal dinner
for Tim's wedding,
yes,
right?
Yes.
So we certainly appreciated you coming on, but it was funny just we were talking about that before you guys got here. How it was like, hey, gotta go.
No, I apologize about that again. I tried as best I could, and I was getting summoned, and I was down at the end of his driveway. talking to you guys to get away from the noise and everything, and someone came running down. What are you doing? I'm like, I'm on the phone. I'm on the phone. They need you. I'm like, oh, Jason, sorry, man. I got to fly. That was a big thing to me. Tim's been a good buddy of mine for pretty much, 20 years-ish. You know,
Yeah.
Me and Tim will go to the grave together. He's a good kid. What a great wedding. Beautiful bride, Deanna. It was pretty fun to be a part of that. You know what I mean?
I was surprised to see. I honestly thought that because Deanna's family is from around here, right?
Yep.
So I was surprised to see that. So Timothy's moving down there with his dad.
Yep. Well, so what they did was
Mom and dad. I mean.
Well, they bought a plot of land.
Right.
So I forget the exact amount of land that they have, but Mr. Fletcher sold, I think, 1.5 acres to Timothy, and he is building his own house on the same plot of land. You know, their shop down there is it's out of this world. It's unbelievable. Their whole plot of land. I mean, their driveway is probably 200 foot off the road.
Yeah.
You got to go through a little section of woods, and then it opens up into a nice concrete driveway. No one in sight. You feel like you're in the middle of nowhere, but 10 minutes from everything you'd ever need. So they did really well. They did really, really well. It's awesome. I'm going to miss them a lot, but hopefully I'll be there soon.
Well, I would say nice thing is that probably have a spot that you're going to be able to keep race car stuff if you need to, right? So yeah, Suburban's there now, but you could definitely see, next year it's like, hey, you know what? Why don't we come down for the race in Piedmont, and then at that point leave the rig there for the winter, and go back down in February or something, grab the rig and go down to Florida and do the races in Florida.
He already threw that out. Why don't you leave it here and come back down, early spring? And if I didn't want to pull everything out and freshen it up, I'd probably put 400 laps on the racetrack this year with that car, and some quarter mile, some eighth mile. I mean, there was a weekend I was tripled at Empire Dragway. Right. Just that car is taking a beating and a beating and a beating, and it just keeps doing it. So before we have anything catastrophic, it's in the best interest to just assess everything, and we'll go from there.
And are you just going to freshen the motor? Is that all you're going to do? Probably tranny too, I'm guessing.
Me and my buddy, the chemist over here, we've got a couple plans up our sleeves. But yeah, we'll get the motor assessed, make sure it's all good to go. What needs to be done will be done, and what doesn't need to be done,
and we'll
leave it at that. He's gonna, these two will do the transmixer for me.
Yep.
And everything in there works. You know what I mean? So. We'd definitely like to keep the setup as close as possible to it, but that car has just been unbelievable since last year when we put that setup in there. And I mean, there's no tuning at all. Generally, you'd see someone have to massage a carburetor or anything, and we put it on it, and it just boom, boom, boom. Everywhere I go, it's within a couple thou here or there.
Yeah.
That's never. I would have paid you 2 years ago to let me race my car the way it sits. It's unbelievable. I still can't believe that I'm sitting in it. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's nice to have a piece like that when it's working right. You can get in it. What it's going to run. Let's even call it not even to a couple of thousands, but if you get to the point where you're within 100th of where you think you're going to be, I mean that's a good piece to be sitting in. It's
absolutely.
Compared to the I will say some of the stuff that I've driven recently, and it's like well we're plus or minus 500, so we'll see where we're at.
We'll dial up 2 more.
That's the funny part about that whole setup, Jason. I mean, we took, the stories from last year. We threw everything together.
Right.
Carl built a converter for us. We had the motor that Ben got on a whole trade deal. Mm-hmm. Did a training for it. We went to leave the night before, and the carburetor was screwed up. We had a carburetor off the Mustang that Randy and I and Dad have together.
Yep.
And I took my carburetor off the Firebird, said, forget it. Let's just put this on. We're going to go down and see what happens. So the car didn't miss a beat then. We called Patrick James of Pro Systems, had him duplicate the carburetor.
Okay.
And Ben threw it on, and have you really touched it?
I haven't changed the jet. I haven't changed a flow. The only thing that went on me, I had to do an accelerator pump. I left my rig down in Beaver Springs, Pennsylvania, for a couple weeks. New York State was still completely shut down with this COVID deal, and I left it down at John D. Bartolomeo's house. He's got a nice plot. He's a drag racer himself and stuff like that. Left my rig down there and stole Christina's car to come back home.
Okay.
And just drive to work for the week, and then drove back down for the weekend. And I got there and pulled the hood off, and I had some with the blue top lube for the alcohol, and I noticed it running down the intakes. Only thing I've had to touch is one accelerator pump on that setup. I haven't changed a jet. I haven't added tranny fluid. I had nothing, absolutely nothing. It's unbelievable. The only thing I had to do tires. I did have to do tires.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the carburetor stuff, it was funny. Years ago, Dad will tell you, he always ran gas. I'm not switching. So we talked about it for years. Nope, not doing it. Okay. So we kept going, and I finally bought my own dragster. It was 2008 or 9.
And you stuck your tongue out of your dad, and it's like, I'm doing alcohol whether you want to or not.
He helped me, him, Matt Schaff, all those guys helped me with the motor that year. Dad mostly. And we made a bunch of changes on it. And I said, I'm switching it. We were going to put it on Q16, race fuel.
Yep.
And we talked about the cost. We wanted to go, my ideal thing was I wanted to go top dragster racing. So we were going to put a nitrous setup in it with Q16. Somebody said, why don't you just put it on alcohol? And I looked at Dad, and he's like, I said, I'm doing it. So I got a number from Pat Budd and Randy, and it was Patrick James.
Okay.
And they had dealt with him years ago.
Uh-huh.
And Randy's like, call him. So I picked up the phone, and honestly, Jason, I wouldn't look back. I mean, the first carburetor he did for us to right now, I mean, phenomenal. So I picked up, just from gas to alcohol with the motor combination changed, we picked up 310s.
Wow.
And which is, I mean, the gas carburetor on the car wasn't the best anyways.
Okay.
But I wouldn't look back. And Dale tell you now, he will not look back.
Yeah.
So
what size motor is that, or was that at the time that you picked up 310s?
So that's it's the same motor still. It's a 540.
Okay.
So,
and what carburetor was on it? Was it a Dominator?
It had a gas Dominator on it. It was old. We bought the car. Long story short, the guy that owned the car was a 96, still is a 96. We bought it in 08. It had 150 runs on the car.
Okay.
All he did was NHRA Super Comp race it in the winter. That's all he did.
Oh.
So he was a Pennsylvania electrician for the state.
Yep.
So he got the winters off. He would go down south
and
race
race.
as much as he could, and then he'd come home and it'd sit. So we bought it. It went $799, and I switched a bunch of stuff. We put it on alcohol. We changed a bunch, and it went. I went 762 in it at Maryland.
Wow.
And that's really, it made us believe.
And that was let's call it carburetor and alcohol. You didn't change the converter, or
we didn't change the converter. We did change some motor stuff. The motor was kind of tired. Dad ended up doing a bunch of machine work, angle milled the heads, and, freshened it all up. But no, converter, tranny was the same. We took the car. The car was a solid car. We 4-linked it. And that was it.
Well, I would say, I mean, obviously, putting the 4-link in the car is not really going to make it quicker.
No.
It's going to make it more consistent, but not quicker. So,
right.
Now, so I'm assuming that, being that your car is on alcohol, I'm assuming, Ben, that your car is on alcohol as well?
Yes, it's actually funny because I was very impartial to race gas. I loved it. The smell of it, all about it. Anything to do with race gas, I loved it. And even when I fell into this trade deal with Randy, I had a broken 355, had a bad timing chain, let loose on me in a TMP, about 1,000-foot cone. That was pretty wild. And then I ended up buying, Randy Jewell actually helped me get into this motor from Tommy Calabrese. It was like his tune motor. He would tune his carburetors with it.
Yeah.
So I had about 60 runs down the racetrack. We put ourselves into it, I think, for like $4,200, and Randy paid for half of it. You know what I mean? He told me, my name's on your car, you need to go down the racetrack. Okay, so whatever. And I was working the money off with him, and they bought that 427, that 18-degree motor from Billy Ryan. What did that make? That made like 800?
750.
Yeah, or something like that. And then Mark Blivens had the 427 that I have now, built down at Damon's Racing Engines, and he just didn't make enough smoke to go 550 for what he wanted to do.
Okay.
So he traded with Randy plus a little cash, I believe Randy's way. And Randy said, look, you give me those 2 355s, I got this 427 with you. And I'm like, are you serious? I don't think I could ever say no to that. I'd be dumb to say no to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like, you get exactly what you want, and I can make some money. Okay. And so they had the alcohol carburetor off of Kaplan's car, the orange Mustang, that was kind of screwing up at the end of the year. That last race that year, Randy had it out for that unfinished business race at Lancaster, I believe, where he did beat me in your car. Yeah, about the only guy that was going to beat me that day was him, of course, in Christopher's car. And I remember it was running over, and that's what it was doing there. And they just, you got to go to alcohol. I'm like, no, I'll buy a gas car. No. And we put the alcohol carburetor on it, and I will never look back. Never.
So now, did you see any type? I mean, I'm sure most people I've heard that have switched to alcohol have seen a performance gain. Did you see that same type of performance gain that Chris saw?
Well, my thing was I went from Junkyard Deuce 355s to a pretty stout 427. So I saw
at the same time.
I saw about a full second.
Yeah.
A full second in a car that could not handle it. So without an anti-roll bar,
the
anti-roll bar did make a world of difference with that car. But yeah, no, with the way that thing is tuned in, you know what I mean? There's no reason. There's no reason to look back. You never run into a problem getting it too hot. You know what I mean? I remember I'd always, with the race gas, I'd have the fans and the water pump running in the lanes trying to get this thing cooled off. Alcohol, you definitely don't have that problem.
Yeah.
If anything, I shut the water pump off to get her hot. But no,
yeah, that's the one. I mean, I would say that's to me, well, I mean, not the one advantage, but that's the huge advantage that I see is the fact that you don't have to worry about the heat issue like you do with the racing gas. Obviously, I mean, even though you use twice as much, we'll say on average, alcohol compared to racing gas, I mean, it's still cheaper for sure. So that's a nice little benefit. Now, if you can say that you're going to pick up power, which is obviously every racer wants more power. So even if you only got a tenth, I mean, to go and say, all right, well, I want to gain a tenth just the normally aspirated way, and put some extra money into my motor to do it. Once you're to the point of performance that we're generally all at, to gain a tenth, you're going to put a bunch of money in your motor to do that for the most part.
Absolutely.
So to do something, I mean, it really does seem like benefit. But I will say that I've also heard guys that have said, you know what, I've went to alcohol before and I'm not going back. I'm never doing that again. I went back to racing gas and I'm never doing alcohol again. And I'm sure that's why Phil, basically had the opinion that he did prior to going to alcohol, right? Because he probably heard all the same horror stories from the same people that I did.
I believe those are the people that don't like maintenance. It does take a little bit more maintenance.
Yeah.
Another oil change here and there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, just like at the end of the weekend, make sure the carburetor's empty. Douse it down with WD-40. Make sure everything's lubricated up. I've learned it from them. I had no idea about this stuff before they put it on my car. But, it's a little bit more maintenance, right? It's not
that bad.
Yeah, it's really not the end of the world.
I mean, you can ask Dad. I mean, Dad raced on. What'd you race on gas for? 10 years?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Old school.
Yeah.
Old school.
I mean, you can
back in our day, right?
Yeah.
You can ask Dad now, though. I mean, I think we took his dragster. When we first got it together, Jason. So Dad and I built that dragster with Randy. We whipped the old gas carburetor out of the box that had been sitting for 15 years.
Yeah, probably.
Whipped it out, and the thing comes out and goes, I think it was a solid car, real light. Same big block he had in his Nova. And it went like 805 or 806.
Yep.
And we laughed, and race gas was starting to get expensive at that point. That was like 03, 04, 05.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was $10, $12 a gallon.
Right.
And
Unbelievable.
so I made the switch. Dad was still on gas. I made the switch, and he made the switch. So I went straight to a SV1 on my car, which is that big single Venturi.
Yeah. Yep.
Dad made the switch from a gas dominator to an alcohol dominator because he had the 4-hole throttle stop.
Yep.
And so on. And what'd you see, Dad? I mean, you saw a 10th, right? 10th
Probably
and
a
a half.
10th.
Yeah, I mean, it was a 10th. We had a old Holly 1050 gas Dominator.
Mm-hmm.
It was out of the box from 1993, 1994.
Mid-90s.
Mid-90s. Come to find out, it was one of those carburetors that was crazy power. Mike Janis had, Fast Freddy.
Yep.
Freddie had a motor. We sold a gas carburetor.
Yep.
Freddie had a motor at Mike Janis's. Made a pull on it. It made, Freddie, of course, made over 1,000 horsepower.
Right.
Freddie said, I got another carburetor, let's put it on. Puts it on, it makes 80 horsepower less. And Mike's like, yeah, no, that's not right. Here, I got a house carburetor. Let's put that on. It made 10 horsepower over Freddie's second carburetor.
Okay.
So he bolted the old mid-90s Holly back on it.
Yep.
Made another 70 horsepower.
Wow.
Come to find out, it was one of those carburetors.
Yep.
So, but still, I think Dad went from a good gas carburetor to a good alcohol carburetor.
Right.
Where I went from a bad gas carburetor to a good alcohol carburetor. So, it was, especially now, just with the cost of things. For me, it's the cost. A drum of alcohol at Empire is
$40 million.
what, $140?
$140.
$140.
Wow.
You can't buy 10 gallons of C12 for that.
Right.
No, the last
55 gallons to 10 gallons for the exact same price.
Yeah, I would say the
Right.
last 5-gallon pail of fuel that I bought at Empire, and I'm going to say it was C14, $90.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the cost, first of all.
The weather too. You can't beat that alcohol with weather.
No.
Now I learned from the Fletchers all the years growing up watching Mr. Fletcher race the formula for a gas carbureted car. You know what I mean? Just it's 100th this way with 5 degrees of temperature, with 7 degrees of humidity. It's this way. The only thing that I see that ever affects my alcohol is the density altitude. It's a DA. That's the only variable you really have to watch is the DA. Yeah, if it's 90 or 35 degrees outside, the car's going to 630. That's it.
Your car is an extreme.
No, it defies odds. It defies odds. It's really, I really didn't want to pull it out.
Yeah.
It's just because it is that lights out, and you may never ever see a piece that works like that ever again. I still almost want to put it back in. It's all sitting on the shop floor right now, but I couldn't. I have so many laps on it. I had to. Before something catastrophic happens, if we can get away with lifters and valve springs,
Right.
yeah. Thank you. We'll just put the same ones in, give me the exact part numbers, and we'll be on our way. But no, the chasing with weather, it doesn't matter.
Now, it used to be in the old days, and Phil's going to know what I'm talking about. You guys might not because you're not old enough. But in the old days, it was like, okay, if you want to run alcohol. Now, I know you obviously need a higher volume fuel pump to be able to run alcohol. But it used to be you had to relocate the fuel cell. If you had it in the back of the car, you had to put that in the front of the car as well. Is that still the case?
Not at all, Jason. Both our cars. Actually, in Dad's truck Dad sold his truck. But anyways, all our cars, Dad started in the front. We moved it to the back. Both our cars, the fuel cells are in the back.
Mm-hmm.
We use electric pump. What's your car got in it for fuel line? I don't even know.
What did I got? 10
8?
line?
Is it 10?
10 line? I got 10
So-
line to the regulator.
10. Yep, 10 from the cell to the regulator, which is what mine is. And then it's from the regulator to the carburetor. Instead of 6s, it's 8s.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just run, actually all of us. Dad runs Magna Fuel. He likes Magna Fuel. And then
Well, I got an Aeromotive in there now.
you got you were
I did have a
Fuel.
Magna Fuel, and I did have a Magna Fuel, and we did find out that the pump pressure does matter.
Mm-hmm.
So we went from my Magna Fuel, it had 28 psi bypass pressure through the return, right?
Yeah.
And this one it's adjustable. I just, if you have to adjust it, I let Thomas Fletcher borrow the car to go to that 100K, the spring fling deal.
Yep.
And sure enough, as soon as I let it out of my hands, something goes wrong. So Thomas had a spare fuel pump down there, and it was an Aeromotive. I do believe, though, just how Mr. Fletcher is, he's big on his gas. He will not go to alcohol. He will not. I think it has 18 psi of bypass pressure through the return. Did slow the car up a tenth with 10 pounds of pressure.
Okay.
So, yeah, no, it's something that's adjustable, but when I got it back, it's still just ran like a stopwatch. So
Yeah.
why?
And
not
it's
gonna touch
consistent,
it.
right?
Not
It's
gonna
like,
touch it.
right.
Actually,
right.
you're lucky because it put the car to 640. You guys could have been even more screwed if it was doing that early in the year. Instead of 280 pounds, all it was a little fuel pump switch.
Yeah, no. I mean, not even the case anymore. There's so much technology out there now. So I run a A2000. That's what's in Ben's car now. Dad runs the big MagnaFuel 500. And selling the back to the front, no problem.
We moved my cell from the front to the back, trying to shift a little weight back.
Okay.
Yep.
Trying to get a little weight off the front, trying to plant the tire a little bit more in the truck to go 470.
Yep.
We did find out it taxes the pump going that fast. I mean, we were spraying up 500
Yep.
to go that fast. So fuel pump lasted like 2 years and needed a freshen. We were chasing some issues with it and figured it out that the pump was wore out. So it taxes it a little bit more. But yeah, I had 10 line going all the way forward. So, but putting that much volume of fuel through it, sure, it's taxing and going a little faster, than these guys are.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
if he's got basically another motor in there, cubic inch wise compared to us. So
I say, what motor did the truck have in it?
go ahead, Dad.
582,
Okay.
Yep.
and same deal, running on alcohol. Patrick built me a brand new SV1 for it.
Yep.
And then a separate fuel system for nitrous, which is the way Christopher goes. Same thing.
Yep.
So our
Two fuel systems. I think I remember talking to you about this, Chris, when you were on the show last time. So explain this again.
Yep. So it's a dual fuel system.
Yep.
So like what I've got, and actually all three of our cars are set up very similar.
Yep.
The dragster is a little different because we don't use nitrous, but the Firebird and the truck were set up identical. So you've got your alcohol system for the carburetor.
Yep.
And then the nitrous side of the system runs a auxiliary fuel container. We run just a Holley blue pump with a Holley regulator, just a chrome regulator,
Yep.
to the nitrous solenoids. So the nitrous side of the fuel, or the fuel side of the nitrous system. So when the nitrous becomes active, the motor's on alcohol.
Yep.
And then when we spray the nitrous, the fuel enriches that, the race gas. So we run like C16 in a separate fuel system. So alcohol, cold, and then you got the gas and the nitrous on top of that. I mean, it does make more power that way. So, and actually, the alcohol gives you a bigger tuning window because it's so cold.
Okay.
So you can actually get after it a little bit harder with timing and your nitrous tune-up because you have that cushion.
Yeah.
Like, it's not gas, and nitrous where it's hot.
Right.
I mean, we sprayed Dad's with 500 pretty regularly. Well, pretty much every race.
we had to do it.
We had to. It literally, Jason, the truck was heavy enough and the truck was small cubic inch wise for the class.
Sure.
We literally had to spray it with everything that we could give it to go 470.
Yeah, but how many races did he win that year?
How many? I don't know. That thing won a bunch.
All but
that
one?
year.
Three.
Right?
Three
Races.
Wow.
races.
Christopher drove it one, and it
We'll
went
talk
under.
about that.
First time the truck's been in his 60s was when he drove it.
It's always faster in mine, too.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. But I went red
Happy
one
man.
race, 1-3, and then one we were still struggling in the beginning on it,
Yeah.
getting it to try and go 470. But yeah, we were leaving 80%. In half a second, it's all in.
Yeah.
So, which was great. We just limp it soft off the beginning. We had changed the gear ratio in the transmission. By the mid season, we had changed that, and that softened enough of it at the hit, and then we just pour it to it on the other end. So everybody else is going 146 to 148, and the truck was going 150, which was kind of neat. You're always chasing. You're always seeing the car in front of you.
Yeah.
And won a couple of races because of it. I mean, poor Kev Matshaw, he was on the losing end twice with me with that. I'm behind him, but I'm right next to him, but he doesn't know it.
Right.
And he bails at the last second. I just lucky
Nip
enough
him
to
at the lights, right.
just lucky enough to walk away. But the truck was fun.
I would say, but you sold it.
Yeah.
I was very surprised when I saw it with a for sale sign at the track.
Yeah.
I mean, really surprised. So yeah, what brought all that on?
We talked about it. It was a lot of fun. Truck was mint, and I loved it. But cars down there for the 470 deal, it was always light. 8, 10 cars. That was about it.
Right.
We went down the beginning of this year before everything hit the fan.
Yep.
We went down to Morrisville and did a 470 show down there. There was 24 cars, I believe, down there, and they said that was light.
24.
Yeah, I remember they
24.
said something. There was another 470 race, or they do like 450.
Yeah.
They do like 420, 450, 470 down there, and there was another race sitting on top of that one.
I was talking with one guy down there, and he said that. He said there was a 450, 470, a 440, and a 490 race, all going on within 2 hours away.
Okay.
He goes, so we were a little light. And, I mean, down south it's great. So we decided that rather than keep it, and I didn't really want to bracket race it, just didn't want to put the number of passes on a bracket race in it.
Right.
Figure move it, give it to somebody, sell it to somebody who's going to use it for what it's worth.
Yep.
Really needs a 632 on up in it to go fast.
Right.
And build something else. Build something a little more versatile, like what Ben and Christopher are doing. Maybe a little 550 like Christopher, bracket race a little bit, go back a little bit, backwards a little bit.
Yep.
But race a little more, have a little fun. My wife and I, we always talk about it and laugh about it. And we got out to the track one day. So we're spraying it, just bracket racing it. Spray with 200. We can go 490s with it. Jerry has you now going from the hot pits all the way around down the return road.
Right.
To come in the, so you don't get clogged up in the lanes trying to turn around.
Yep.
So we were pushing the truck with the golf cart. And Randy was down there. Randy goes to my wife. He goes, Kath, come on, you're going to push the truck. She looks at him and goes, nope. She goes, you are. And just a little bit more work that she didn't want to do, and really I didn't want to do either.
Right.
Bracket racing and spraying it was actually more consistent, like what Christopher wants to do. It was. So, but it was time to move it. It was still in great shape. It was perfect time. Had a couple good hits on it, and we ended up selling it to a couple guys down in Virginia who are going to grudge race it.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
I would say it. I mean, honestly, it wasn't. I mean, and it doesn't surprise me. It wasn't for sale long. I mean, I don't know how long it was total, but I mean, it was a nice piece. I mean, you guys did a really, really nice job putting that truck together, and it doesn't surprise me that it sold as quick as it did. So I mean, now what? I guess now going forward, what are the plans?
I bought a Nova, and like I said, Randy's on board. Hopefully, gets in his shop at the beginning of the year. We'll do just a small tire on it, like a 29.5 10.5. Put the 582 in it.
Okay.
And hopefully have a little fun. We'll see how consistent it is. Try to run 550. My plan is try to get it to run 550 as close as I can on motor. It probably won't do it. It'll still be a little heavy.
Someone's got to beat this kid.
So I would say, will the plan at that point be to run in Randy's series and run it in the 570 class, against Chris?
Yeah. I'd like to. Yeah, it would be fun. It's funny. All these years we've been racing, and we stay away from each other good enough where we've never raced each other.
Really?
I've never raced him.
Yep.
He can come and get it though. No, it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
All the years that you guys had the two dragsters running in Super Pro, you never raced each other.
No.
We've never raced each other. We've taken a couple time runs together, but if I remember right, twice. We did it twice. We were both down to 4 cars. I lost. Dad actually won the race. And I think the next one he lost and I won the race. We never raced each other.
Yeah.
I've raced Ben like 16 times. The one year we raced each other a bunch.
At Umpire.
Yeah. But no, Dad and I have never raced each other.
Randy Jewell was in Christopher's car one weekend.
Yeah.
And I go up kind of quick. Randy got into a separate set of lanes, and somehow,
Oh, that's Empire Dragway for you.
yeah. All of a sudden, I look over and Jerry's shaking his head, and I'm going, "What?" And I look over, and it's Christopher's car. I'm
Yeah,
going, great.
Randy.
I got to race Randy and Christopher's car. It was hilarious, but
Well, that's how it was this year when I was racing your Firebird.
Yeah.
We were, one pair away from getting tight. You were
I was
your
racing the dragster, yeah.
Yep, just we're in the same lane on the opposite side of the whole world, and you two. What?
Yeah.
You mean us two?
Yeah, we were one pair away,
Yeah.
one car away from racing each other,
Uh-huh.
like second round
Yeah.
or something
That would've been fun.
ridiculous.
So now, before you went to the dragster, Phil, you were in a Nova, right?
yes,
And that was that a 70?
yes, 70 Nova. Yep.
So new Nova is what year?
It's actually a 73 body, but with the 70 front end on it.
Okay.
Kenny Guile put the right correct taillights in it
Yep.
for me.
Okay.
So it'll look,
Like a 70.
yeah. A little more modern than the old Nova was. The old Nova was old school.
Oh, come on, son.
That car was stock front end, 4-wheel drum brakes, ladder bar with
Yep.
leaf springs. Pete Zawadsky, Pete Z.
Yep.
He's the one that did the car for me. Worked great.
Now, is that car still competing out at Empire? No?
No, I think a retired sheriff bought it. Nichols?
Terry Nichols.
Terry Nichols.
So
Okay.
Joe Ross bought it. You remember Joe
Yeah.
Ross?
Yeah.
My dad went to high school with him.
He raced
Yeah.
it going.
Yeah.
We talked about Dad was going 960s in it, which was fast, for it then. But
Sure.
Joe ended up going like 880s in it.
Wow, okay.
Which was too
Scary.
fast for it.
Yeah.
Dang, Cooper
So-
had some smoke, huh?
Yeah, so Randy got the car and ended up front halfing it and back halfing it. And then Terry bought it, I don't know, probably 12, 15 years ago. And Randy did a bunch of work on it.
Yeah.
And
Never
haven't
seen
seen it since.
Still sitting in his garage.
Still sitting in his garage. So
Wow.
every time I see him, every time, I don't even say hello to him. I say, "Well, you ready to sell that?"
I was going to say, you must have inquired, right?
Oh, yeah, a couple of times. No. He just laughs and walks away. So, but that's all right. The new one will be cool. The new one will be neat.
It sounds that way. I guess with the new one, so is it, I guess how close to stock is it currently, the new one?
We already took the subframe out of the front of it and sold it. We bought a Smith Racecraft front end for it, front subframe. So it's all tubular chromoly front end.
Okay.
They say it's worth 150 pounds. I believe it. And then what we're going to try and do, Randy, Christopher, me, Ben, all of us, small tire, 29.5, 10.5, or maybe a 315 radial.
And that's where I'm going with this question. Essentially, is why the small tire? Why not cut the whole back seat out of it and put the biggest, giganticest tubs you can get and throw those in there?
Yeah. Well, yeah, the Nova was that way. My old Nova.
Yeah.
They had you put a 1432 under it. To fit the class, 550. The biggest tire you can put on it is a 29.5, 10.5.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yep. Or 315 radial. So that's the class. So we want to come out and try to make it work just like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be split mono leaf springs, Caltrax.
Okay.
A good pair of shocks, whether I go AFCO or Menser.
Mm-hmm.
And then try to make it work like that. The whole idea of this whole car is more versatile, more things to race it in. The truck, you were pigeonholed like a dragster.
Mm-hmm. Which is really, I have to say, is really funny because if you look at the trend in drag racing as far as what guys were doing, yeah, I mean, you go back to the 70s, basically everybody had door cars. There was very, very few dragsters that were out there. And then somewhere, I'm going to call it late 80s to late 90s, all of a sudden, it's like you started seeing all these dragsters. And I don't know if it was the popularity of Super Comp or what it was, but everyone was going to dragsters. And over the last few years, what you've definitely seen, especially at the big dollar bracket races, is that the guys are going away from the dragsters and they're going back to the door cars. And I honestly don't know, I guess, why that is. I don't know if it's because of now the big dollar bracket races have got to the point where they separate the door cars and dragsters, that it's like, hey, you know what, it doesn't really matter, I don't have to build a dragster anymore, and I think a door car is cooler. Or if guys feel like they're more consistent at the big dollar bracket races, or if it's just, hey, yeah, I got something that now I can go race Michael Beard's races too, and race a door car only. I don't know what it is, but I'm surprised to see this trend away from dragsters and going back to door cars. But I like it. I will say I do like it.
Yeah. I mean, we get in the argument all the time with Pat Budd, Patrick Budd.
Yep.
Pat used to say, "There's nothing sexy about a dragster. There's nothing sexy about it.
It's a tool.
A door car. I mean, yeah, you pick a door car. There's something sexy about it. He's right." The dragsters back in the day, yeah, it was your go-to. You want to bracket race it, they're consistent. Well, Christopher and I both believe, no, you want to be consistent. You want to win some bracket races. You go to a car like Ben's car, Christopher's car, they're going low 6s, 620s, 630s, something that dead hooks.
Yep.
And work with it. When I had my Nova, I was going 640s, 650s. And it won a boatload. And back old school, like you and me,
Yep.
It was on gas. And the thing with gas, like Ben was saying, you had to learn your combination. You had to learn with what the weather was doing, with what the car was going to do. Well, after a while, you can get good at it. And that Nova won a lot. I mean, that car did great. I was really happy with it. Going to a dragster, Christopher and I beat our heads against the wall. There is no dead hooking a dragster.
Yep.
So now what we will always say is, with Patrick's carburetor on his dragster, my dragster, doesn't matter. You are track dependent. So we roll up in the lanes. We don't look at weather or anything with his dragster. We get in it and say, well, what do you think? How long's the track been sitting? How many cars are going down it?
You guys do talk about that.
What lane looks better?
Are we running after street?
Right.
Well, that's another problem.
Right. You're spot on.
Yeah.
Right. So then as you're going later rounds,
Track cools
off, things start slowing down, less cars are going down. We get down to 4 cars or something.
The humidity.
And humidity. So humidity plays into it. As humidity starts going up, the car will lose 1, maybe 2.
Yeah.
And we start dialing for it a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm old school. I don't play the holding game.
Yeah.
These guys are better at it than I am. Christopher can play both ends. I just can't. I can't see it.
Yeah.
So I'll dial honest and go for it. But the door car, and when Christopher got in Ben's car down in Piedmont this year, he made a believer out of me because I didn't believe that Ben's car was that deadly. Christopher goes 636 with a 9.
Yeah. First hit, right?
Yep.
636 9, right?
Yeah.
And Christopher missed the tree a little bit, so he rolls it out. First round he goes up. He dials 37.
Yep.
You're not going to give a whole 9 thou away.
Right.
And I buy into these guys the way they race now. He goes up, he's 005 red, dead 0.
Running it out.
Running it out. I go, you ran it out. He goes, yeah, I want red. I'm running it out.
Yeah.
So it's dead 0. I go, okay. So next round he goes up. He's in one entry still. Dials 37. He said, I got down there. The guy was with me. I gave it one just real quick to make sure I was going to be 37 something. It went like 37.3.
No.
And then the next one he went out, ran it out. It was 37.2. I mean, the thing was within 4 thou.
Yeah. Yeah, that's incredible.
It's
the power of a third gen.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
It's crazy. But it goes back to like what I was saying. I think a good bracket car is a dead hook car. Ben is running a small radial on that.
Yeah, I run a 28
Pro bracket, right?
Yeah, 28-10-5 pro bracket rating.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yep. And Christopher's car is a 28-10-5 slick.
Yep.
So
Need those for the nitrous.
I really believe you can make it work. I think the swing to door cars is the way to go. We watched the finals Saturday night. All of us were on the fence watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, fast door cars.
Fast door
Oh,
cars.
yeah.
These
The new 620 is like 550 in Carolina.
Yeah.
If you're not going 550,
Yeah, I mean,
You ain't nothing down
what was there? 2 540, 550, and then 2 520 cars?
Yeah, there was couple 520s. There was one guy 547, another guy 549. And I mean, when they made it down to 3 cars, they had all run dead on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we didn't know what they were doing for reaction times, but it was ridiculous. The guy that had the bye to the finals runs dead on 0.
Yeah.
Spins back around in the final and goes like dead on 2 or something like that.
Yeah. He was dead on like 4 rounds in a row. We were listening. You know, just crazy. So he kind of made a little bit of a liar out of me as far as ET wise, but pretty phenomenal. I love watching door cars. I really do.
It's something different every round. Like if you're at home watching, the Motor Mania feeds of this big spring fling races, the dragster portion comes on. We'll watch the football game. You know what I mean? Like,
It's boring. They're all the same.
They're all the same. They all go 450. There's no difference.
Big motors, big chrome headers. They're all the same.
I mean, they all leave exactly the same. I mean, they just drive away from the starting line. I mean, I have to say, I get why guys buy them and build them and use them, but wow, are they boring to watch? There's just no doubt about it.
I did get to find out firsthand, though, with those long and skinnies at Series 75 Hondos, they are a world easier to work.
Well,
we did not stop working that entire weekend.
That was a little. I've got a dragster, and I'll tell you what, I love driving it. It's something about that car. I don't know why. Drove Dad's, drove a couple others over the years. The car's easy to drive. You can get in it. Dad's hopped in it, done well. I could throw Ben in it, he'd hop in it. It just drives so well. But I'll tell you what, there's nothing like letting go of the button in the Firebird and having it ride the bumper for 100 feet. Right. I mean, and the dragster is much easier to work on. I mean, Ben's not kidding that.
But we pulled the entire setup out on the
That's
the whole thing. Everything.
Sierra's race, Friday night, make 2 time runs, roll it into the water box for first round, start doing a burnout, breaks a couple rocker arms. So I caught it, brought it back. Ben's racing the Firebird. So Ben, you're down to 14 cars?
Yep.
We hop in the truck, Dad and I go home. I had a
Or no, you were still in one, weren't you? You were still in an extra.
No,
you hopped in a Firebird.
No, that was Saturday.
That was Saturday, okay. Oh, yeah, we broke something Saturday.
So, we broke it again Saturday. So Friday, we hop in the truck. Dad and I fly home. I'm 20 minutes away from the track.
Yeah.
Which you know. So we hop and fly home, get back. Ben's racing the next round. We missed 1 round. That was it. Mm-hmm. Throw a set of rocker arms in the car. Fired up. It's good to go for Saturday. So Ben, luckily...
Well, they didn't call it. They canceled it. They canceled the remainder to the next night.
Yeah, they postponed it to the next day. So Ben's still in a Firebird.
Yep.
So I'm start a new day Saturday with a dragster. So it's going good. I had 2 entries, like 3rd round, lost. I don't know.
Broke the car. You broke the car.
I'm down to 20 cars or 18 cars or something.
You broke the input shafts, right?
I got Tommy Calabrese, which Tommy's car's awesome. So I see him let go. I look, he's red. So I let go of the button. The car goes out. Doesn't make the gear change. Mm-hmm. So I shift it.
Yep.
As soon as I shifted it, boom, on the rev limiter.
Okay.
So breaks the input shaft.
Yep.
I win the round. So I'm like, there's no way we can change input shaft because they were calling us back already.
Right.
So Ben's still... Were you still?
So I was out of eliminations of that race because I was racing John Pops' car as well.
Yes.
So I was out of eliminations with your car
Yep.
in that race, but I had to go back up for the remainder of Friday's race.
Right.
So the car was still warmed up, ready to go.
So the car was warmed up, so John let me hop in the Firebird to make the next round.
Yeah.
And Chucky White got me in a good race. But, so we put rock arms in it Friday night.
It was a good race.
And then Ben...
They canceled us at 7
Dad and I helped. I went back home Saturday night, got input shaft because we had one of those at home too, and we slung an input shaft in it. So it broke in the gear set. So we slide the converter out and the input shaft falls out and there's a piece stuck inside.
How did we get that out again?
I remember.
Too.
So I'm like, man, Dad and I do our own trainees.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Dad, I'm not pulling this trainee apart here. You know what I mean? I'm just not. I don't have it in me. It was like 10:30 at night. I'm like, you know what? I've done some goofy stuff at work.
You sent me on a goose chase for a magnet.
So I sent him on a goose chase for a magnet, and I'm like, there's a little like pilot hole that they drill through them. Flow to the gear set.
Okay.
I'm like, let me try and just beat a screwdriver in it with a big hammer and see what happens. So I
So you can get it wedged down there.
Yeah, so I took one of
That's right.
Dad's good Craftsman screwdrivers that I'm sure he loved and smashed it in there. And here it comes out. Pulled it right out. So it came right out.
I
So
get back on the golf cart, tooting the horn, a cow, and Chris goes, "Yep, here it is on the screwdriver."
Yep. So we slid the input shaft back in and went back racing Sunday. But I honestly, when you race them both together, the dragster is a tool.
Mm-hmm.
The dragster is a good tool to have in your arsenal. Fortunate enough to have it.
Right.
Two cars.
Right.
But I struggle bracket racing in the car, my car. I'm better bracket racing in the dragster, but I would take driving the car on nitrous any day over the dragster. Just because it's more fun.
Right.
The dragster's boring.
Yeah, this is a conversation that I've had with a few people, and when I was younger, I didn't understand this. When me and my dad were racing together, racing super gas. My dad stuck with the 5-speed with the car as long as he possibly could. We were one of the last guys out there in super gas. Well, I wouldn't even say in super gas, just bracket racing, let's call it locally in general, that had a 5-speed in a fast car.
You guys were bracket racing that with a stick in it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Savages.
That is cool.
It was.
Bad.
It was cool to watch, and
man,
the sound now, even today, when I hear somebody out there with, that has, I think there was a Mustang out there not too long ago that might have had a Jericho in it at Empire, and it's like as soon as I heard it, I'm like, what is that? That sounds really cool. I gotta go see this.
That's that blue one with the blower?
No, I think it was is it a black one with a silver?
I think it was a black one.
Yeah. Those guys are wild.
But yeah, so we did it for a long time, and I never understood why, and it got to be so much work. So to get a good light on a 4/10 tree, we were reducing the clutch departure, and what you end up doing is you ended up basically shifting without any sort of clutch. Basically, you're just pulling gears, and so you end up burning the gears up. So it came to every single weekend we're taking the transmission out, splitting the case, taking the gears, cleaning them up, putting the whole thing together again, and it just got to be a lot of work. And then finally, when my dad blew the whole thing up, that was when we switched to the automatic and the converter. And for me, it was like, it immediately made the car and us extremely competitive. Particularly in super gas. My dad was easily able to get lights like crazy, and the car was just super easy to work on, maintenance-wise. But it's boring. It's boring. I can understand, and now that I'm the age that I'm at, which is basically my dad's age when he passed away, it's like I can see now why my dad kept the 5-speed in the car as long as he did, because there was something about, and again, this at the time there was no electronics really for the most part, so it was you leave it valve float and you shift it valve float. And to basically put your foot to the floor, have it go to 9,300 RPM and let the clutch out, it's like, holy cow. Ooh. It's just incredible compared to, I'm 5,000 on the box, let the button go, have it nice and easy, lift the front wheels. And it's still fun, but not violent like that car was. That was just really out of control. And like I said, now that I'm older, it's like, look, none of us that are sitting in this room, generally the guys out at Empire, for 99.9% of us, are doing this for a living. We're all doing it for fun.
Right.
And we all want to win for sure, but man, if you have more fun, driving a door car on nitrous over a dragster or a 5-speed compared to an automatic or, a blower or whatever else it is, well, by all means, that's what you should be doing then, because that's all we're doing here is we're out there having fun,
Right.
Right. So, I guess at this point, that said, the unfortunate thing with the manual transmissions, whether you're doing a Jericho or we were just a Doug Nash, they are expensive. So yeah, it'd be more fun to. There's a lot of things that I think it could be a lot of fun, but you have to be able to afford it too. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things that I can't afford to do. So now I guess Phil. So for the Nova, at this point, it's going to be truck powertrain in the Nova and go race some 570, and that's your plan as well, Chris, is to race 570 again, mostly in 2021.
Yeah, I think so. The 550 deal, yeah.
Oh, it's 550.
It's
not
550.
550, not 570. Okay, that's right. Yeah, Randy's at 570 is Super Comp. So
Yes.
Randy's deal is 550, 650.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the name of the actual series? I'm calling it Randy's series, but
It's
Empire Outlaw.
Empire Outlaws.
the Empire Outlaws. Okay.
Yeah. So between the 3 tracks, hopefully this year they're all working together. You've got the Asta Outlaws, Buffalo Street Outlaws.
Oh,
and then
okay.
You've got the Empire Outlaws, and I'm hoping that, from what it sounded like, everybody's going to try to work together. We had a bunch. There was a bunch of races last year. There was like 12 between Empire, Asta, and Lancaster. There was like 12 races.
Oh.
We tried to hit most of them.
Weather caught us a couple times.
Weather got us a couple times. But Asta's got a big race at the end of the year. Randy's race was stout, paid well at the end of the year. Lancaster struggled a little bit this year, but hopefully next year will be better for them. Yeah, so I think that's the plan. We're going to bracket race as much as we can. Ben and I are talking about maybe doing some stuff together. Dragging Dad with us.
Yeah, he has to come. He's part of the clause.
Make him, He keeps us grounded, keeps us level-headed.
Yeah, if Uncle Phil's not there, I'm gonna go nuts.
You're nuts anyway,
Yeah,
so we're good.
yeah, but he helps a little bit.
So
Keeps
he
Ben in check.
He keeps the old school sense into us for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, just 550 race. Help Dad with his deal. See if we can get his lined out quick.
Yep.
550 race, and then if we're not doing that, race the drag. Sure Dad will race it probably a little bit. He raced it a bunch more than I did last year, which is just fine.
We parked the truck
Early, yeah. So
You know, we had the truck out in Morrisville, North Carolina in May, in the beginning of the year. And then after that, we talked to the guy that bought it, and he needed a little bit of time, sent me a deposit, so I just sat it. I just parked it,
Oh.
you know, and it just sat. One of those deals where you don't want to take a chance.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
So Christopher, what was really nice was Christopher got to drive it a couple times, spraying it, and it really gets your attention. You know, 60. We were 60 foot, and best 60 foot with that was 103 with the 180 gear set. We went to a 158.
58, yep.
158 gear set, and it's 60 footed like 107, right around there. So it still got your attention.
That's going to get your
Yeah,
attention
that's
for
right.
sure.
But it was definitely a lot more consistent, a lot easier. It was a lot of fun. I've never made a vehicle go that fast before, you know. So that was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. To say we came out, Randy Jewell started this. That truck was. Did you ever hear the story about that truck? It was Ian Ray's
Okay. No.
to start with. Ian's from Canada. Started this truck back in 05, and this was built from the ground up by Randy Jewell, Timmy Antonora, Ian, and Pat Budd.
Mm-hmm.
And this was their chassis. So the biggest thing they didn't want were the bars going through the back window.
Okay.
So it wasn't,
Yeah.
it didn't have them. Chassis worked great. I got it. It was 80% done. I finished up the double frame rails, and then we had to hang the whole body and everything on it, front end, all that. And then Scott Jaron knocked it out of the park.
Yep.
When we painted it. I mean, when we went and picked it up, you couldn't slap the smile off my face. I
First
said
time
to
you showed
Scott,
up at Empire had to be unreal.
I said to Scott, I go, is it the same truck? You know, and he laughed, you know. Scott took the front bumper, he actually sectioned it and made it longer,
Okay.
you know, closer to the ground. He was worried about it under power being too high at the finish line versus if you were on the brakes.
Yep.
So he said he wanted to do that. I said, whatever you want to do, you know. He did great. It came back. It was just absolutely gorgeous. And at least we got a taste of. We did what we wanted to do. Randy, Jewel, me, Christopher, all of us, we all came out with a plan to go 470 racing.
Yep.
And try to do well. Actually, try to come out and win.
Right.
And it did it. We were really happy with it. We struggled with it in 18. I gave up a little bit on it. And then 19, we came out, and Randy goes, "You need wheelie bars." I go, "Fine, let's put them on it." We didn't have wheelie bars on it. We put Sand Tough shocks in the back of it. And like I said, we moved the fuel cell to the back, gave it a little more weight in the back end of it. And Randy goes, "We're going to get after it." He goes, "No more 300, 350. He goes, "We're going right to 500. I go, "All right." So it was fun.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
It made some moves in the beginning, and I told Christopher, I go, "You get in a race at one of the 470 races. I want to see if it's me or if it's the truck."
Yep.
And it was the track. It was like 450, 500 foot out.
Yep.
The thing would just make a move. I mean, like, just move, like push you one way or the other. And he got in it. It made the move, and I'm like, good, it wasn't me.
Right.
So they really, the prep was huge.
Yep.
If it wasn't there with what I was trying to do, spraying it more down track, I wasn't going to get there, The last race of the year, Jerry had, I don't know, we only had like 7 or 8 cars the last 470 race. And it was cold that day. And I asked Jerry, I go, "Are you going to spray?" He goes, "Well, we sprayed it already. We'll see what it looks like." First qualifier, I got out 400 foot, and the thing made a move.
Yeah.
The second qualifier was dancing all over. I just stayed with it, and then 477, I was number 1 qualifier. And that was dancing all over the place. So we got lucky enough that he prepped and everything fell into place, and it won the last race of that year, which was fun. But Christopher got an idea of what it is to go 60 foot.
And a door car, yeah.
Yeah, that was
pretty
fun.
Cool.
It was fun. We set out a goal. We did it. It was fun to make something go fast. Christopher's right. As far as the nitrous and all that, it's really not that bad. It's pretty easy.
Was the last time Chris was on the show, he was preaching the same thing.
Yeah.
I can't say that I wasn't buying, because he certainly made it sound pretty darn easy and interesting to try. I've never run nitrous in my life. I don't know the first thing about it. I will say alcohol-wise, I mean, sitting here and listening to you guys talk about alcohol, and Randy and I had a brief conversation when I was at the shop dropping the car off about switching the Corvette over to alcohol.
Okay.
Like Santa, you just got to believe.
Yeah.
Well, I would say, I'm an old school guy, and, right now it's me and Phil, right? So I'm hanging around another old school guy, and it's like, the two of us, it's like, no, alcohol, no, not doing that. And
we need one pump gas.
But avgas, right? You want to go really old school, we'll do avgas. Right. But so overall, like I said, sitting here listening to you, and Randy showed me, he's like, oh, geez, he's not that hard with a fuel pump, and I have a MagnaFuel. I think I have the MagnaFuel 400 on my car. I don't think I went to 500. I think it's a 400, which I don't know if that's big enough or not.
What engine? It works on a 275.
It's a small block. Small block, right, Jason?
Small block. Yeah, it's a
maybe
406. 406 in my car.
Mine was running on a MagnaFuel 275.
Oh, was it really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so maybe I could use the same fuel pump. Randy's like, oh, you don't even have to do that if you don't want. You could, here he showed me a belt-driven pump that he had sitting there. He's like, you could do something like this, it'd be super easy. And we're talking about putting the vacuum pump on the car. It's like, so if you're going to do it, you could kind of do it all at once. And but I will say I'm interested. Just because going faster, it's always nice to go faster. And if for something like that, where the overall investment, and it's kind of like the vacuum pump, the overall investment to add some power is really minimal. And with alcohol, for God's sakes, you actually make it up long term. It doesn't even take that long because of the cost of fuel savings, right?
Absolutely.
I definitely made it up this year, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, when you're putting 10,000 passes on your car, quintuple enter.
Yeah, right.
You guys forced me to race 640.
We did.
Your buddy Phil, he had to come to the shop and stir up some problems.
But that's the really nice thing is the fact that you were triple entered and not having to worry about. I mean, trans temperature is one thing that you got to worry about still, but you didn't have to worry about engine temperature at all. And to basically take that out of the equation completely and not have to worry about your engine temperature, that's pretty nice. And again, sitting here listening to you guys, I mean, I know firsthand, Ben. I mean, your car is extremely consistent. I don't know if I raced you once or twice this year, but your car is definitely consistent. And I mean, obviously the Scarlattas here, I mean, there's nobody out at Empire that would say, oh yeah, Scarlattas, they're pushovers. They don't know what they're doing, and they're all over the place. So there's something to be said, I think, for the story you guys are telling about alcohol and the truth behind it.
Don't use it.
Yeah. The truck had no grill or anything in it.
Yep.
And it ran super cool. Spraying it didn't matter. Mm-hmm. And the fun part about the truck was everybody in 470 pushes their car up to the lanes and they push their cars back.
Yep.
I drive it to the lanes, pass, come back, flip it off, take off my gear, fire it up, and drive it back. I'm weaving in and out of everybody pulled over waiting for their push vehicle to come get them.
Right.
It was a blast. You come back up the return road after spraying it. And if you were 180, that was hot. Mm-hmm. It was usually 160, 165, 170. Yeah, the dragster, we can't get heat in it.
Yeah, same with
150, 160. Yeah. I'll tell you what, Jason, I got a carburetor that bolt right on your stuff to try. Because my motor's probably damn close to
I got one too.
Absolutely. Patrick's systems, vacuum referenced regulator.
Yeah.
So you're not saturating the oil with alcohol.
Okay.
So basically what it does is it under part throttle it actually pulls fuel pressure away, so it doesn't overrun the needles and seats.
Okay.
When you're wide open, it gives it 3 to 4 pounds more of fuel pressure. Mm-hmm. So it works off ported vacuum. It works backwards.
Okay.
And then when you lift at the finish line, it basically takes the fuel pressure away.
Yep.
And tries to run the bowls half down, and then it'll bring it back. So it never really overruns, never does anything weird.
Yep.
And the oil looks like it was. I mean, the dragster, I don't even run a vacuum pump.
I don't run a vacuum pump.
Ben does. That's right. Ben doesn't run a vacuum pump.
I'll go 60 runs before I feel bad. I have to change it. You know what
really?
I mean? But that stuff, it's still green, man.
What's it look like when you take it out?
Every time I pull it, I'm like, dang, I should have saved that $80. You know what I mean? But it's just, you got to do it. You know what I mean? You got, because I don't have a vacuum pump, so. Generally, though, I'm good about it. You know what I mean? Just anything that Christopher says, I listen to. You know what I mean? He's got it down to a science. Him and Uncle Phil, they got it down. Whether it's nitrous or the alcohol, they get it. They have it down. So you just get the thing hot at the end of the night. It's 180 degrees.
Yep.
You know, up in there. Make sure you get your condensation burned off. Let the carburetor empty out. Spray her down. Just it's little stuff. You know,
it's not hard.
It really isn't.
It's hard.
A little extra
time.
time.
Laps I take with no vacuum pump on it and how my oil looks, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
I would have thought I'd run into problems already.
Yeah, Patrick's got a good system. I mean,
that regulator system is wicked.
You listen to him too. At the end of the night, he'll tell you the same thing. I mean, he's got a Firebird with a 540 in it.
Patrick does. Yeah.
Patrick does. Drain the fuel. Run it out of fuel at the end of the night. He'll squirt some fuel in the
vent tubes.
The vent tubes, yep. Fire it back up on fuel.
Mm-hmm.
Let it run that out real quick, and basically you're good to go for the next week.
Mm.
If you're going to let it sit, then he'll suggest pulling the bowls off and cleaning it out, spraying it up with WD-40 or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, every week with the truck, I just get back and fill up the bowls from the vent tubes from the top.
Yeah.
I never took anything apart, and it worked out great.
Dad always goes the extra mile. I'll be honest with you, I'm horrible. I don't even do that. I drive it close to the trailer, click the fuel pump off, drive it in the trailer, and I'll see you when I see you.
Too lazy to take the hood off.
He does.
Too lazy to take the hood off.
Yeah.
So
I stayed on top.
It is
of
a lot to take the hood off in the trailer, though.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah.
So, honestly, Jason, if you were up to try it, I would 100% help you try it.
I am up to try it.
So,
I was going to say, if we're going to do it...
We got 2 sitting at the shop that'll work.
Yeah, say we're going to do it.
Yeah, honestly, probably his would be better.
Mine would probably be a little bit closer.
Yeah.
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 So what's yours a little bigger, but
Old main body though.
old main body.
Yeah.
Yep.
So mine's what? Mine's a free. You have the
mine's a 1050.
no, but you have the what is it? The Venom. You have a Venom on yours. Is that what it's called?
Yes, I believe so.
I have the one before that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what the names are.
Yep.
All I know is I got this carburetor. Chris, what did you do? You sent Patrick James an email for me.
Yeah.
And then I called him and he said, "Yeah, send it in, no problem." I told him I wanted it identical to his. He said $200. Send it back. Put it on the car. I haven't touched this yet. He gives you a whole packet with extra jets and this and this. When the weather does this, you should do this. Explaining everything, and I have yet to touch it.
Yeah, I mean, I think a regular, you've got a 4150 on yours,
Yep.
right? Carb?
Yep.
So one of his regular carbs, I think it's like, what, 750,
I think it's like
800,
$800.
800 bucks
For like a
with the regulator done,
Yeah.
set up. You know, when you give them, say you wanted one down the road, you
Yep.
give them all your specs, and your 5 to 6 days it's at your door, and bolt it on and go.
Patrick's
He's
super easy to
super
work
nice.
with.
I mean,
it's unreal.
I've called him. The best story I've got of Patrick is I was super comp racing, or quick rod racing.
Yeah.
I was at Richmond with a dragster, SV1 on it. The thing would stumble coming off the stop horribly. And you got this one big butterfly, you know. And he said, call his tech line on any time. So I'm like, okay, let's see how this works. You know what I mean? So it's 11:30 at night. I call him. He picks up the phone. Hey, Chris, how are you? I'm like, good. How are you? You know, he's like, good. What's going on, man? I'm like, he's like, I know you're in Richmond quick rod racing, right? Yeah, I saw it online. What's up?
Huh.
Well, this is what I got going on. Yep, change this. Call me tomorrow. Let me know. Everything I changed, Jason, came off the stop clean as could be, and I lost in the finals that night. So, I mean, his customer service is phenomenal.
Yeah, I did hear that it could get finicky with the alcohol on a throttle stop.
Yeah.
It pulls up in the intake
With the
and
big-
it wants to
yeah.
putter. And it wants to putter
Yeah.
coming out.
Yeah, I know
I
that-
haven't had a problem.
I know Lieber tried the
Yeah.
SV1. I think he was the first one, actually.
He had a E85 one, if I remember.
You know what?
That's what it was, I think, right?
Yes, I believe you're
Yeah.
right. I'm almost positive that's exactly what it was. It was an E85
'cause I
SV1,
remember.
and on the stop as well. And
Yep.
Patrick was like, I don't know how this is going to work, but we'll try it. And I know it, went back and forth a couple of times. And I think at the end of the day, I think they finally said, this probably isn't the best application for this. So that was when I think they decided to quit that experiment. But it was interesting. I mean,
Yes.
the first time I saw it, I was like, what the heck is that?
Yeah, they're huge, you know.
They're huge.
But I'll tell you what, on mine, I've got an inline stop, and the dragster's awesome. I haven't stop raced it in probably, it's been maybe since 6 years, probably 2014. But I mean, I could turn the stop on tomorrow and it'd be perfect.
Yeah.
So alcohol, it responds well. E85, I don't know. Yeah, like I'd talked to Billy about that, I think, before, and he struggled, and him and Patrick, they were changing stuff and doing this.
Yeah, and I can't even say. I mean, honestly, I know that Billy's not running E85 anymore. I mean, there was all sorts of issues, I think, with the E85 too. So I mean, I don't necessarily even know that they can look back and say that it was specifically the SV1 and it wasn't the actual fuel. And
Okay.
I think most of the guys now that are running E85 have generally learned that you have to buy the competition E85
Okay.
because the E85 that you get from the pump, there's just too much variability in it, and it
Yeah.
doesn't work very well.
I've actually, Mason Fix up at the Lancaster,
Yeah.
he mixes his E85 with alcohol.
Really?
Yes. Never heard of it. And then when his that yellow car he has, I don't know what kind of car that is.
That.
He claims when I went to when I go to the Ohio Big Buck race with him, I was out at Lancaster that one Friday night. I believe for the 640 series where number one qualifier went like 699 or something like that.
That was at Lancaster.
Yeah.
I was number two, and I was just a couple hundreds behind you.
No, he tucked me into going out to the Ohio race. He's like, it's only 3.5 hours away. Well, and I'm like, all right, you go get me a pair of basketball shorts. I'll meet you there in the morning. So I went down there, and he's explaining how he mixes it with, because you got to count your points or whatever on the E85,
Okay.
I guess. And
Yeah.
he finds that the alcohol adds the extra points to the E85 or whatever. And I mean, Mason's a very good racer. Him and his dad are very intelligent guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? His car works. I don't see it miss a beat, you know what I mean? But just mixing E85 with alcohol, I'm like, I don't understand.
Might as well run methanol at that point.
Right, at
You know
that
what I
point,
mean?
why would you just not run alcohol?
Right.
It's not worth all that work.
No.
No, that's a lot of work.
All right. Well, let's discuss this. Like I said, if we're going to do it,
Let's do it.
The
I'm
time
in.
to do it is when the car is at the shop here,
In.
and we can take a look at everything and figure out what we need to do. But yeah, I'm okay with giving it a try. If we were talking to Phil right now, I can guarantee you that
We'll put him in his place tomorrow.
He'll probably want to fight us tomorrow.
He's going to drive that S10 through the door.
But yeah, we can definitely give this.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I've toyed around with the idea a bunch of times about potentially doing it, and one thing, it's just like with nitrous too. Nitrous is the same thing. I know nothing about it, and if I knew something about it, and I won't say that I don't know people that know stuff about it. Obviously, I do, but it's like if my next door neighbor was a drag racer and a nitrous expert, I'd probably feel more apt to say, yeah, okay, let's give this a try. I got a guy right here, and we can play with it in the garage, all the rest of it. But you start talking about doing something you don't know anything about, and if you don't know anyone that's really convenient to help you with it,
Right.
and I don't want to go out to the track honestly and struggle and try and play with stuff at the track and experiment. And quite frankly, the other thing too is that the last thing I want to do, and this is one thing with nitrous why I've stayed away from it. I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of technology and knowledge that's come along with nitrous systems and how to run them.
Yep.
But when you're old like me and your dad, and you remember seeing all the nitrous explosions going on in the 80s, right? You're thinking to yourself, you know what? I can't afford to do that. So I want no part of that. Don't bring that stuff anywhere near me. But there's plenty of guys now, obviously, that do it, out at Empire, just out at Empire, let's call it, and that run nitrous all the time with no issues whatsoever. Yeah. And again, if you can do it, let's call it consistently, and where it doesn't add a lot of wear and tear on your parts, it's really cheap horsepower. So, yeah. I mean, now you start throwing 500 shots at it, like
you better carry 10 bottles,
like Phil over here was.
No,
yeah.
but I'm also with the nitrous. I'm on the outside looking in. I don't know much about it, just as much as I've learned. In the year working for Randy, when it comes to that stuff, you guys have it set up. It's completely mistake proof. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If you screw it up, you screwed it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just his system, the way that Chris runs that stuff in the Firebird, it's unreal.
Yeah.
It's unreal the way his progressive system works, and he's got it idiot proof. I mean, just on a valve. So if this valve is closed and the bottle's on, you're still not triggered to the motor. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Just it's actually pretty simple. The way he has it set up.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could get yourself into a world of hurt trying to set it up yourself. I know at least I could.
Yeah.
Because if it ever goes in, this guy's doing it.
Yeah.
Justin at work will wire it. Chris will set the rest up. Yeah. You know what I mean? And just the way he has it set up in his Firebird is unreal. I don't know much about Uncle Phil's S10, how that was set up.
Same.
I never really
Identical.
dug it in. I'd imagine it's unreal.
It's identical.
I did get the chance to play with it in Piedmont for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
A lot of fun.
Yes.
We had some fun.
Oh yeah, we had a nice nitrous game going on with last year's other winner down there.
Oh,
Ferguson.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Ben had to race him in Christopher's car. And the guy is a very well-known racer, excellent racer.
Yep.
And we wheel up with the Firebird. Ben's in it. He's got a dial on
Car's
it.
out to lunch.
Yeah, car's out to lunch.
Car's out to lunch. We have no clue. He's got a slow dial on it. He's going to hold a bunch. He goes, well, let's not hold. Let's dial to run the number. So he drops at 300ths.
Yeah.
They turn the bottle on. He gives it a few purges in the staging lanes. You look over at Ferguson. He drops his dial by two.
Wipe it off. Wipe it off. What are you doing?
Drops his dial by 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And he just, I don't know what happened to him.
He was out to lunch.
He was out to lunch at the hit.
Yeah.
No.
No, but then we got lucky with that. No, so I rolled into the lanes with
This
like
is
a
Glenn
40.
Ferguson?
Glenn Ferguson.
Yeah. I rolled into the lanes with like a 43 on the window. Chris is like, you can't get there. I was like, I know. Shh. So as soon as I found out I had, dialed up 400s, he kind of looks at me sideways. You know what I mean? Well, I told Chris, I was like, watch until he's looking. As soon as he's watching us to get our dial in, switch it. And then immediately Chris is like, no, we're purging the nitrous. Purge the nitrous. now a car, like, I don't know, 4 repairs in front, broke the rear end about, 400 foot down the racetrack. Just festering in his head. What to do. You see him cross the 06 off the window, put it on a 4. Okay, now you're showing me 100th.
Right.
You are dialed to stick it and not break out.
Yep.
Because you don't know how this is going to go. And he was out to lunch. And I closed my eyes and I let go 000. And that didn't hurt. That didn't hurt for my escapade for round number 1.
We had fun. It was a good time. No matter what these guys say, but yeah, it was. Was it a rough weekend? We all came home. Everything was running. No major catastrophic failures. It was a good weekend. Weather was gorgeous.
And it will just add to the story
Oh, yeah.
later on, right?
Oh,
10 years from now, remember that year we went down to Piedmont? And
Oh, no, I've got this boy hooked into it. We're going. I told him we need 4 or 5 big ones this year. I don't care if we take both cars or one. We're doing it. And at that point, we can go down and double. It cuts your cost in half.
Right.
You know what I mean? We go as a team. I'd have just worked the way when we went down last year, and I never got to do it. I've always raced by myself. You know what I mean? I've had friends, the Fleshers, everything. Yeah, they've helped me out.
Yeah.
Of course, I can't say they haven't. You know what I mean? When I'm on the starting line, though, it's nobody but me. I don't have anyone behind me.
Right.
My father doesn't come up there as often, as like Uncle Phil does, and
Yeah.
I don't complain. I'm not complaining about that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? My dad's helped me every step of the way. If it wasn't for my parents, I would never have seen the racetrack.
Right.
You know what I
Same,
mean?
right.
But
Same.
when we went down to Piedmont last year, it was Chris, Randy, Justin, and I. And no matter what, you pulled into the puddle, there's someone behind your back.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's
Right.
someone that has your back. You know what I mean? And there was at that last year, Randy was the guy who kept me on the ground because I got a little amped up. I'm running around. It's 35 degrees out. I got a cutoff shirt on, and
Deja vu again this year.
it's my style. Man. I don't have any sleeves left.
There's no doubt. I mean, you can race obviously on your own, but it's always nice
It
to
was-
have somebody
yeah.
there helping you.
It was huge. It was so huge, and that was where it came into play
Huge.
again this year, where we went down there together in hindsight, but for ourselves. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I understand. I completely understand. You're there on your bill. I'm there on my bill, right? And then Sunday rolls around, and we flip-flop the scene. You know what I mean? Now we're working together. Now when I'm up there, these two are there. Now when he's up there, I'm there. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just I don't understand it. It works well.
Yeah.
It does work well.
It did.
It really does. I don't understand why.
Both
but-
these guys just lit right up
dude, it's
on
dangerous.
Sunday. Seriously.
It's dangerous.
Seriously. I mean, he's trip zip. He's 00 something. I mean, his 2 or 3 rounds.
Well, yeah, our original plan was split the entry, 1 and 1. I
Right.
got 1 in my car, he's got 1 in
Yep.
his car. You know what I mean? And then he lights it. So you were like 50 your first hit,
No.
and we rolled that full 50 out.
I rolled like 45 out.
45 out, and he lights it 5 red. And I said, "No, you stay." And he goes, "You sure?" I said, "I'll guinea pig it in this hot rod." So it's dangerous. You know what I mean? What you do when you work together, teamwork makes a dream work. You know what I mean? It really does. Whether in racing is a solo game, but if you go down there with the right people, it's led to be good. You know
Well,
what
who
I mean?
knows? Maybe you'll. If I join Team Alcohol, maybe you
Yeah.
guys will let me.
Team RJ Profab.
Yeah,
RJ
exactly.
Profab,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what it is.
I'll tell you what, it is amazing. There's, all the old school guys, you guys, Randy's, I love Randy, but he's old school. You know what I mean? He grew up racing old school. And you ask Randy, he will not touch a wire. He knows nothing about electronics.
Oh,
But when he climbs in a race car, that's all he needs. He doesn't need any electronics.
Yeah.
He'll just drive.
yeah.
But the nitrous stuff is Randy, full out,
Uh-huh.
out front. I mean, that's Randy 100%.
Yeah.
And Ben's not kidding. I mean, the knowledge of people that we have together is just astounding. I mean, the things that come out and the ideas that are brought
Right.
up and the stuff that actually happens is kind of crazy. But
Geez,
But-
next thing you're gonna have me putting 10 5s on the car. And,
yeah, Jason, that's an excellent idea, Jason. We got nitrous bottles
Hey,
for
the
you.
six-
I got
the
all sorts
650
of
class is opened up to a 5/10 Pro Tree now,
yes.
and it does not
Yeah.
call for a small tire.
No, I think Randy. So
What is it? You can't run a
Okay.
1432 in it.
no, Randy's gonna open up. So here's the deal. This is what I understood. You guys changed your 640 deal to a 5/10 Pro.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
So Randy is working his way to the 650 deal.
Yep.
No electronics,
Yep.
but 5/10 Pro Tree.
Yep.
And he's gonna open up the tire rule
Okay.
to try and get you guys
Sure.
to you know what I mean, race. And he's hoping to do that with some money. I know Tom Coonley raced it. Ben raced it a bunch. Chucky White.
Yep. Antonor's son, I believe.
Yeah.
I think he's got a small tire, though.
Yeah, so he's trying to open it up.
The Coupiers, put their S10 in it.
Yep.
That's another big tire car.
Now, note when we say no electronics, no delay boxes,
No
or
throttle
stops.
stops.
Yep.
No throttle stops.
No throttle.
Stack and wait, cuz.
Delay box, yes?
I run mine. I believe everyone else ran theirs.
I have no idea.
Me neither.
I think he talked about if he was going to do a 5/10 tree, they had talked about he has to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you can't. That's tough. You know.
Well, it's tough for sure. I mean, I would say I would definitely have a hard time with no delay box. I'd have a hard time making my car.
We put a set of 28s on it. Get those 25s off.
I think I need to go something bigger even.
So we'll have to talk about that. I'm
But-
not sure about that.
Well, no, because last year with the whole deal is we all could leave our delay boxes in because it was a 410s Pro Tree. If you're running delay in a 410s Pro Tree,
You can't.
I mean, you're autistic at that point. It's kind of like him. So everyone's zeroed out. But with a 510s Pro Tree, yeah, it'd be definitely hard to let it go
Yeah.
without a delay box in it. I know, especially with a 500. I know with like an NHRA, it's like 470 Pro Tree.
Right.
So I mean, I got like maybe 5 thou in it, and that was my buddy Tim that tucked me to that. I couldn't stand not having delay in the box, and he goes, "I don't understand what's so hard about this. Put it at 0 and let it go." Okay, so I listened to him, and it worked out. But with the 500s Pro Tree, you're definitely going to have to open it up to
To have some sort of delay. Yeah. I mean, because these cars will leave.
Because it's like the same thing as what we were saying before. Is what car that realistically goes 650 can hit a 410s Pro Tree? You know what I mean? Not many.
No,
You don't have the smoke for it.
I could be 20s.
But you're spraying to go 550 or on your 650?
I'm motor. It'll go 20s.
See, that's what
We just tie the front end down.
That's why he's autistic. I told you. He carries about 40 more delay in my car than I do.
Yeah.
I don't know how he sees it so fast, but
Same thing in the dragster. He's 35 more than me.
Yeah, wow, that's a lot.
last year, so with the throttle stop on my car, it slowed the 60 foot up about 500.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so the next time he got in, it was the new fuel pump, which slowed it up at 10.
Yeah.
So the 60 foot was back quite a bit. I believe last year when he drove it, it was 60 foot, like a 129,
Yeah, it was
128
fast. It
range.
was fast.
Fast. I mean, he's got 1100 in the delay box.
Mm-hmm.
1100. Huh? It was unheard of. The last time I ran a dragster, I had like 1120 in it to be like decent. You know what I mean? I didn't get my feet wet enough in it to be any good in it.
Yeah.
But I had my opportunity in it, and I was at like 1120, and he's at 1100 in my car. It's unreal.
Yeah, I carry.
Unbelievable.
I'm 1152 in the dragster.
It's nuts. 1150. Yeah, so I was like, you're
I'm set up like 8.
Yeah, I'm like 25,
Yeah.
25 to 30.
So shifters as well would be manually shifted?
Nope, you're allowed an air shifter.
Oh, you are. Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
I would say like.
No throttle stops is pretty much the rule.
Yeah. Okay.
Because that takes the quote unquote outlaw out of it.
Right.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
So like with Phil's Camaro, it'd be easy. He'd be really easy to slow his car down to go 650s. My Corvette would be a little bit more difficult, but I could
280
probably.
pounds.
Well, that's certainly one way to do it. I could probably with the Corvette. Use the air shifter and shift it into high, basically a 10th out, and that would probably get me close. And then, then take some timing out of it and do some other things.
That's
and,
another switch I gotta make.
Yeah.
Is put my stuff on time, so I have that variable.
Yeah.
Because I shift on RPM.
Okay.
It's not wired to shift on time, which
Yeah.
I have the capability of doing.
Mm-hmm.
So like for 640,
Yep.
when I came to get some of you, I was putting like 250 pounds of weight in the car, and it just did not like it. You'd like a bah. I'm like, oh my god, my poor race car. But no, yeah, that shift. That's how Tom Coonley does it
Yeah.
for the 650.
Yep.
He shifts it about. I think it's like 1.3 out.
Yeah,
for
I would.
his setup.
Yeah, I would definitely have to shift early,
Yeah.
but we'll give it a go. I'm game as long as I'll take the. I mean, I wouldn't take my box out. My box is my I run a K&R, so it's the same delay box and throttle stop. But I'd take the bottle out, and I mean, if you made me, I'd take the plate off. But I would certainly.
No, absolutely.
Nah, I'm sure it wouldn't.
Absolutely not. You don't even need to take the bottle out. Just
I'll
zero
take the
it.
bottle. I'll take the bottle out. I don't want anybody saying, "Oh, geez, we heard the car make a move or whatever else." Be like, no bottle in it. Sorry.
Right.
But yeah, I would be interested. I will say, I think you get a bunch of guys that would be interested in doing and running the 650 class.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun.
For sure. I know Lancaster does that whole 7 flat deal, and they get a couple of cars. Well, they do it on a Wednesday night, though.
Yeah.
7 flat class. It's just index class racing is cool. You know what I mean? It's very cool to index race. I like that. There's a lot of guys that you see do it that don't understand it's just a bracket race.
Right.
Where we all dial the same, which is fun.
Right.
That's the ones we like to go against. Yeah, no, at the end of the day, anything that there is to race, if you're capable of racing, I'm in. I'm all in.
Right.
I'm all in.
Putting an alcohol carburetor on your car, Jason, is piece of cake.
Yeah.
Seriously.
For sure.
Put it on, and there is no messing around with it. You go out and start making passes. That's all. It will literally just bolt on and go. It's your fuel system just keeping up with it. That's all.
Yep.
So you got a cell in the back, Jason?
Cells in the back, correct?
Aluminum?
No, it's a plastic cell.
Do you have foam in it?
Yes.
Or we're going to remove that?
Yeah, pull the foam.
Okay.
That's it. I mean, literally.
What size line forward?
You know, that I don't know off the top of my head.
Minimum 8, Christopher?
Yeah, you can run 8.
I mean, you guys got it on the lift. You can take a look.
Yeah, I'll have to
I'll take a look in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah. When I redid it,
I'll bring my carburetor in too.
I used to run two. I used to run 2 Holley black pumps, and then when I redid the car, when Pat and Randy redid the car, we put the new cage in it. That was 10 years ago. That I redid the fuel system. Then I rewired the whole car, and I just at that point, like I said, I went from 2 Holley black pumps to the 1 MagnaFuel, and I know I went up in fuel line size. I don't know what size I went to.
I think it's got to be 10.
But
It's got to be an 8 at least.
It's at least 8.
So if you
I
got
would be surprised if it's not 10.
if you got an 8 or a 10, pull the foam out of the cell.
Yep.
And then pull the carburetor, and we'll steal whatever.
I'll do it tomorrow. There'll be no foam in that. We'll fire with no
We'll
headers.
steal Ben's.
Randy will get back from Florida with the headers back on. What the heck are you doing? Oh, boss, I was playing around.
Put Ben's carburetor, whatever, mine, and regulator on it. Fire it up. I mean, is it pretty much what do you have to do to fire it? Adjust the valves and get the headers on it, and
That is it.
that's it. So before it leaves, we're gonna run it on alcohol. Is what you're telling me? Before it leaves the shop, right?
Believe me, when these two start talking like that, it's pretty much going to happen.
Yeah. All right.
Well,
I mean,
no,
it'd be
the foam's
worth-
coming out tomorrow. So
It'd be worth a shot.
I'm gonna
just to see.
pull the foam out tomorrow to make sure this is a sealed deal. Because once the foam's gone, there's no reason not to do it. Right?
I just replaced that foam. That cost me like $7 to put that new foam in.
Well, we'll leave it in the passenger seat. I was sitting in the car the other day,
Oh yeah.
playing around, letting go of the trans brake. I was thinking, I'd drive it. I'd drive this car, yeah, for sure.
How long has that car been in your guys' family, Jason? When did your dad?
56 years.
Wow.
Really?
Wow.
When did he? So if you don't mind me asking, when did he buy that? Did he buy that brand new?
1964.
Oh my god.
Really?
That's
No
what I thought,
bullshit.
but I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Wow. And it's been a race car.
So I mean, like most, I guess we'll call it racers, if you will, or especially him then with let's call it hot rodders, right? I mean, he bought the car in '64. It was a 327 single 4-speed car, and he basically, let's call it, drove around the street, raced it on the street, did that. Generally, made it faster and faster, and then in 1970, so I was actually three major things happened in 1970. I was born in 1970.
Okay.
My dad started his business in 1970, and because of those two things, he decided to take the year off. From racing. So he decided, all right, what we're going to do now is I'm going to make the car full time into a race car. So 1970 was when it became a race car full
They
time.
must have invented the Sawzall that year.
And yes, it's been a race car ever since. And then I'm not really sure what year it was. If it was, I think it was. It's hard to say. The 4-link that's in that car, if you look at the 4-link in it, so the rear suspension on that car is basically the same rear suspension that's been in it since that car was built full-time into a race car.
Wow.
So the Dana that's back there, you'll see, like I said, if you look at the 4-link, you'll see that the bottom bar is non-adjustable. It's a fixed length, really thick tube. And my uncle worked on the Motown Missile team, and those guys, the engineers essentially at Chrysler were the ones that kind of came up with the idea for the 4Link and putting it in a drag car, and they did that. And then when my dad redid his car, and I'm thinking it was in '70, I don't think it was later on. I think it was in '70 when he did this. That was when they put the 4Link in my dad's car as well.
Wow.
So I'm not saying that it wasn't the first car to have a 4Link in it, but certainly it was it was on the very cutting edge of rear suspension drag racing technology because it got done so soon.
That's
But
pretty cool.
it's been that way, like I said, for the last 50 years.
You got a ton of the original parts still too, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, that was when my dad generally took things off of it. I mean, again, like a drag racer would. I mean, knew from the very beginning that weight is a big thing to going fast. So he took things off. He saved everything.
Did he really?
So the original powertrain's gone. I mean, again, like a hot rodder, he blew all that stuff up or turned around and sold it to get money to buy better stuff. So I got a basement full of parts, and I've never had the heart to sell any of that stuff just because my dad's whole deal was, if I ever sell the car, that's when the parts go with it, and that's kind of how I'm at as well. And Dan Fletcher and I have talked about this because Dan is in a very similar situation to me with his dad's Camaro.
Sure.
That even today, I don't feel like it's crazy. I'm not sure when this. I knew at one point in time. Soon, I will have actually, let's call it, owned the Corvette for a longer period of time than my dad did. And that's really strange to me. But I don't consider the Corvette to be my car. I'm just the caretaker of it,
Sure.
right? It's my dad's Corvette that I just happen to be the...
That is how Mr. Fletcher addresses the Superstock.
Exactly.
His dad's.
Yep. We've talked about that in the past, and he feels exactly the same way. And it's an interesting car. It's neat.
That's cool.
I know. I sent Ben a text last night when we were talking about this, and I just warned him about the stainless trim around the windows because we're replacing the windows in the car. The replacement stainless trim. It's so stupid. Just the stainless trim for the rear windows from Eckler's for reproduction is $3,600.
Oh my God.
He told me not to pound on him. I said you should have never said anything. You know better than that.
Just from Eckler's, just for the rear window trim.
Just for the rear window trim for reproduction, rear window trim for a 63. It's unique to a 63, so there's a couple pieces of it that on the outside are the same on the 63 and the 64, but those two pieces that go down the middle for the split window are unique to the 63, and because of that, one-off year makes it really, really expensive.
So those are original moldings?
So all the moldings that are on the car right now are all original, yes, and one of them got kinked. Which is why if you look at the rear windows, you'll see there's one piece of molding missing, and that was the molding that Phil Harnden brought over to the shop the other day. Yep. That was one that I found out of Long Island. That was a new old stock that I found it was probably 15 years ago that I found that. Wow. And so when I looked on Eckler's, after I found the whole set for $3,600, just that one piece now for a reproduction version from Eckler's, they want $550 for.
Yeah, he sent me a link the other night.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Unreal.
It is insane. Yeah.
That's just
for a chrome window molding.
Ridiculous, So he bought it 64, so it was a leftover 63?
So no, I believe it was actually, I'm fairly certain it was used. Somebody had bought it in 63, I don't know exactly when they were. I'm not a 63 Corvette. I know a bunch about them, but I'm certainly not the end-all, be-all expert with regards to 62. So I don't know when they were released. If they were released at the end of 62 or they didn't come out until the spring of 63, but somebody bought it. And as soon as they came out with that body style, my dad fell in love with them and wanted to have one and basically said, all right, yeah, when I see one, I'm going to go out and buy it. And it was sitting on a lot, and I'm pretty sure it was sitting on a lot. It might have been Doyle Chevy in Kenmore. He saw it and went and bought it for, I don't know what it was, $3,200 or...
That's crazy, isn't it?
Which, at the time, he was an 18-year-old kid. $3,200, again, inflation adjusted. I'm sure it was all of at least $20,000 for an 18-year-old kid. It was a ton of money.
That's a lot of money, yeah.
Yeah, what he paid for probably won't cover the rear window mold.
No.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy from that standpoint.
Yeah, that's wild, huh?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you said you found one piece of molding
Yes.
used?
It was new
New old stock, right? NOS.
Yep.
What did you pay for that, if you don't mind me asking?
I want to say when I bought that. Now again, I bought it probably. I'm going to say 15 years ago. I probably bought it. I paid $300 for it.
Wow.
It's worth more than that now for sure.
Wow.
And it's been sitting in the garage. I've wanted to put it on, and I can't stand the way the car looks without it because of the fact that one side has it on and one side doesn't. But knowing how hard it was to find and how much I paid for it,
Brought it to the pros.
I was not going to attempt to put this on myself. And it's like,
all this talk, it might be sitting in the passenger seat when it comes home.
it's like, sorry,
It's not
we don't want to do it either.
$3,800 molding.
So how do those moldings go on?
You think I've done a '64 Corvette?
They just
snap on?
They just snap on. There's clips inside there holding the windows on. So I think what happened was when I had the car repainted and I had new windows made for it at the time, I think the driver's side window was made slightly too large. And then when the guy that painted it tried to put the molding in, he was trying to force it in, couldn't get it in. There wasn't enough space, and he kinked it.
Gotcha.
And when I got it back, he's like, "Oh yeah, I kinked it." And I'm like, "Oh my God!" It's like of all the ones you kinked, you had to kink the one that was unique to the '63. You couldn't have done any of the others because the others are all common from the '63 to '67, so it would have been a big deal, or as big a deal. But it's like, oh God, you had
It's
to.
great to know. I'll call it sick this day.
So it's just the split window molding, basically.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Wow. So make it as long as you make the windows the right size. You won't have a problem, I think.
That's cool. That's very cool. I wondered, I never had a chance to ask you or Phil, but I wondered how long it had, if he bought it brand new or not. Or close to.
Close to brand new, yeah.
That's awesome. That's very cool.
Long time. There's a couple of cars out there that are like that. You talk to guys that have been racing the same car. Oh God, who's the guy with the Drago? So I mean,
Jack.
I think Drago, Jack's older brother, still has his 55, I believe.
Was it Doug?
Yeah.
The wagon, right?
Yeah. I mean, that car...
The wagon, or was that the 55? He had a Chevy 2 wagon, right? Was that Jack's?
Oh, God.
I get them
That
all
was
mixed up.
Jack's.
I think that was
Jack's.
Yeah.
So
That's
Doug
gone.
had the wagon. So Doug had a 55 Chevy, right?
Yeah.
2-door?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he still has that car.
Does he really?
I think so.
Yeah, I believe so.
I have no idea.
And that's one of the, again, oldest drag racing cars out there.
Yeah, I remember though. I mean, I remember all those cars when I was a kid growing up. I remember yours and your dad's, and then the Fletcher's cars,
Yeah.
and then
Jimmy Cowie.
Frank
Dagnolos.
Francis,
Yeah.
Dagnolos.
Dagnolos.
There's another one that's
Yep.
been around.
Yep.
I mean, Sam's had that pretty much, I think, since brand new.
Since brand new,
Yeah. Man, all those cars, and you wonder where they all went. There's a couple out there still, but
Yeah,
all those
it's cool. I mean, and I will say that I get it all the time too. I get people that come up to me and say, "Geez, I remember watching this car out at." I mean, we raced primarily at Lancaster when my dad was still alive, and we would travel Empire and Cayuga as well. But I get guys that come up to me all the time, and I remember seeing this car out at Lancaster, and a lot of people don't know. I mean, because I haven't raced the car as much, and I've been driving Phil's car,
Yes.
a lot of people don't know that I still have it. And
Gotcha.
they're like, "Do you still have that car?" I'm like, "Yeah." I mean, of all my worldly possessions, I mean, I will sell everything. I don't really believe that I will ever say that I will sell that car. I think if I went bankrupt and had a place to live, needed a place to live, I think I'd sleep in that car before I would sell
Oh,
it.
I definitely.
absolutely.
That car means a lot to me.
Yeah.
And I've had people come up to me and ask me about buying it, and it's like, I don't know at what number I would sell it. I know if my dad were still alive, if somebody came up and said, "Hey, we'll give you $200,000 for it," my dad would be like, "Heck yeah!" And send it down the road. But my dad's not here, and
That's the reason the car still is.
right.
Right.
And for if someone offered me for $50,000, no, not even close. For $100,000, I still don't think I would sell it. And now you're at the point as far as what the car is.
Right.
It's like, man, you'd be silly to spend $100,000 on that car, because for what you could buy build from a race car standpoint, you could build something way nicer. So it wouldn't make sense to spend that. But for me, it would have to be life-changing money, really,
absolutely,
to part with it. Because,
Absolutely.
and yeah, I'm not saying that I'm rich, but
I remember
yeah.
you told me once, you don't know what you would take for it, but you know what you've turned down.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. 100,000 would be, and again, my dad might think I was stupid. 100,000, it would probably be no, not interested. $1 million, yeah, $1 million. I would, my dad would be like, "What are you, dumb?"
Right.
He'd probably turn in his grave.
Like you said,
Yeah.
life changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, it would make no sense for somebody to buy the car to use it for what they were going to use for as a drag car, though. Because if you're going to do that, if you're going to spend $100,000, let's call it, to buy that car, it's like you're better off to go to Bickle or Haas or something like that and have them build you a brand new race car.
Right.
And that was kind of, I will say, to a certain extent, always my long-term goal. My long-term goal would to leave the car the way it is now, make it into a pro street car, and then go build a purpose-built race car. But as a poor drag racer, that's probably not going to happen. Not unless I buy myself a cheap rear-engine dragster and go do that.
That's very cool.
But it's fun. It's too fun to drive, and my dad always, the Corvette guys hated him because I hated seeing that car as a drag car cut up. And my dad's thing was, what would you want me to do with it? Have as a paperweight sitting in the garage, and take my duster and dust it off. He goes,
my dad does that with his. It's got 4 little carpets for the tires.
Yeah.
It's got everything.
Yeah.
Never moves.
My dad was always hey, I'm out using my car and having fun with it, and if you guys want to have a bunch of show cars with sitting in their air conditioned garages and stuff that never go out, that's fine. But he goes, that wasn't what my dad was going to do. So
that's cool. It's cool to see that. I mean, like you said yourself, you hear about so many people that have these gorgeous cars that they're too scared to drive and they sit in the garage.
Yeah.
It's cool that he used it.
Right.
I mean, it's crazy now to look back and think that he chopped up a perfectly good 63 split window car, but back then it didn't matter.
And this is the thing I tell people. People don't realize that at the time that he did it, it was a 7-year-old Corvette.
Right. It didn't matter.
So, I mean, you do it right now with a 2013 Corvette. I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe, 50 years from now, we'll look back and be like, oh my God, a 2013 Corvette. If you could own that, it's like that's,
the chassis car. What do you mean?
Right.
We know a 17 that's getting it done.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, at the time, it was a 7-year-old Corvette. I'm not saying, that still wasn't somewhat of a unique piece, being that it was, the 63 to 67s were still pretty popular. But, yeah, it wasn't as big of a deal as it was, additional 10 years after that,
Right.
when people are like, what are you doing? Why did you do this to this one-off year car? But
Did you guys hear that a lot? I mean, did you hear that a lot?
All the time.
Did he really?
Still does.
All the time.
I'm going to tell him next time I see him.
Yeah, the funny thing is that there's plenty of people. I don't know if you guys, Phil, you might know the name Paul Schneider.
Sounds familiar.
Paul Schneider used to be the announcer out at Niagara Dragway, and then he announced at Lancaster. Paul's dead now.
Yeah.
Paul owned a 63 Corvette as well, and one of the things that a lot of guys did when the 64s came out, 63 was neat from a styling standpoint, but a lot of people complained about it because you look in the mirror and all you see is a post. So that was why they really got rid of that post in the rear and went to the solid back window on the 64 to 67. So a lot of guys, what they did when the 64s came out, hey, I can cut the post out of my car. Not only can I make it so that I can see out of the back window, but now when you look at the model year of the vehicle too, the only 2 things you had to do was take the post off, and there were some grills on the front hood. So take those grills off, cut the post out, put a 64 window in, put the 64 window trim in, and you're done. You got a 64 Corvette. So a lot of guys did that. Took a saw to their 63 Corvette. So, Paul Schneider was one of these guys that did that, and Paul would, be, making fun of my dad for something, and my dad's thing, well, yeah, at least I know where I can find, for your 63, I know I can go to the dumpster at the back of the shop and go get your post out of the back there, and if I ever need it.
Man.
So, yeah, I mean, how many guys would do that? But, again, same thing. It's like I'm sure people look at Dagnolo's car, and why would you do that to this car?
Right. Didn't matter, right? It was, like you said, they were just another car at that
right.
point.
And, yeah, that particular car had a purpose, right? I mean, that car's been a race car, I believe, its entire life.
I'm pretty sure he drove that home and it ended up a race car.
So
Pretty much like Dan's.
Dan's dad.
Right.
Picked it up off the lot, or I believe they bought it in Webster or whatever, and drove it home 3.5 miles, cut it.
Yeah.
Now, Dan's car certainly is a bit of a different animal because of the provenance that is behind the car with the number of victories that it has. But, yeah, Sam's car, I mean, that car would be worth way more money as an original Camaro.
Sure.
But
Not in my eyes.
That's a 67, right?
that is a
68. I think it's a 68.
Oh, boy.
I want to say it's a 7
I
with the
thought-
taillights.
I have no idea.
Again, I'm not a Camaro expert. I thought it was a 67, but maybe it is a 68.
Okay.
But I thought it was a
could be right.
67. But
I want to say it was, I don't know, there was something about that one. Again, it was I don't know if it was a RSSS car or if it was a DZ car, but either one. I mean, they're crazy money now,
oh yeah, absolutely.
but back then, it was another,
Camaro.
just another car.
Even
right?
in, I mean, I will say the 70s. I mean, there's a lot of Camaros out there now still racing. Obviously, the 67 to 69 Camaros.
Yes, there is.
But in the 70s, it's like, man, they were a dime a dozen. There were so many of them out there at the drag
I wish
strip.
I could find those freaking things.
and-
It's not $100,000.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I would love to do one as a race car. Find something that is just a shell, and do it that way. But even if you find that, you're paying dumb money.
Dumb money.
So the thing about Dan Fletcher's car is, Dan gave it its legacy.
Right.
I mean, his dad
Right.
is the one that started it.
That's right.
But Dan finished it. That car is ultimately priceless.
it's the. I mean, that's the winningest car in all of motorsports in the world.
Right.
Does it get any better than that? I mean,
I don't
it's
know.
phenomenal.
I mean, in Dan's case, the nice thing is that Thomas and Timothy are both into drag racing, so I don't see that car ever leaving the Fletcher family.
Well,
at least
the
as
Hall of
far as
Fame, the Hall of Fame has called him, and they have shot him unbelievable numbers.
I can believe it.
And he has said maybe when I'm done with it.
Yeah.
But I don't see it
Now,
happening.
so correct me if I'm wrong. You probably know better than I do, but weren't both those one was Dan's brand new and one was
Dan bought his when he was a senior in high school, I believe, or a junior in high school.
Okay.
And drove it to school. Just that average back in the day, the captain of the football team, quarterback, driving the '69 Camaro to school and whatnot. And
Is that the stalker?
yeah,
That's
the
a stalker.
Yeah.
Yep. And then eventually that got
Became
turned
a-
into a race. I don't know how long he drove it, but he did drive it like to and from school and whatnot before it was a race car.
That's
but
cool.
his father's drove directly to the garage and cut up.
And that's Lieber's
I
Nova
believe
as
that's
well.
3.5 original miles.
Yeah.
on it.
Oh, Billy Chevy too.
Billy's Chevy too.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, I
He
saw it on the lift.
that was his high school car. I mean, it
The
was
one that his dad drives.
no.
He got the other one back.
He got the other one
Oh,
back.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember
it was
his dad-
rough. I mean, it was rough, and but yeah, that was his high school car, and yeah, same general thing. Again, obviously, it's the Novas. I mean, I like Novas. It doesn't quite, I don't think, have the same collector value that the Camaros do, but it's neat to have stuff like that. For me, my kids aren't into racing, so I don't know what's going to happen to the Corvette when I'm no longer here. I guess I won't care much. What was that?
Crusher.
Maybe, who knows?
Ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to take the back post out of the window.
You're gonna say that
That's what we're going to do.
first and then bury me in it.
Your wife's going to sell it for exactly how much you've invested into it.
$3,800.
All those lies.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Right. Exactly. No.
Well, hey, we've been doing this for 2 hours.
Yeah, you need to wrap it up quick because we're out of space and we're going to lose this whole show.
All right, well, we don't want to do that.
No, absolutely.
So, well, cut.
Oh, I'm not going to do that. Sorry.
well, we certainly. I mean, this is the nice thing about overall. But you have a couple of guys in that you can have a good conversation with, and the time just flies by. And I know we could do this longer, but what we'll do is we'll get the Corvette switched over to alcohol, and then
The foam's coming out tomorrow.
we'll do another one of these shows and as an
have to do
update.
have to do the show mobile then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes.
Get your work cut out for you.
Can you go mobile?
Yeah.
We got satellites and everything?
I don't use satellites.
No, we're bringing
You
satellites.
gotta turn your microphone back on.
It's been shut off for an hour and a half.
Poor Chris falling asleep over there.
No, we've gone mobile from all over the place. We've been in Utah, we've been in Minnesota, Virginia.
That's
Florida.
awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, we're
I'm
going
not-
live.
if-
4625 Westridge Road.
Live
RJ
to fire
Profab.
Jason's car off on all call.
Yep. With the
I'm
new
done.
headers.
First fire up.
First
Yep,
fire
new
up.
We need a-
New
we need a
headers.
hotspot though. I don't have one.
We'll even order. No, we got Wi-Fi. in
We
the
got
shop.
Wi-Fi at the shop.
Come on, it's RJ Profit.
Yeah, we could do that.
Good.
Yep. Jason, you ready
Justin
for
will
that?
hook
All right.
Alright.
Justin said
Oh,
it.
man.
Jason said all right.
All right.
So,
Well, we'll make a plan.
Okay.
all right, that sounds good.
Sounds like we got some
good.
headers to tag together.
All right.
Whose carb are we using?
We'll do it again next time, whenever next time might be.
All
The
right.
next time is we're going to be out someplace and
Well, I won't say next time. 2 weeks from now. Well, in theory, is that going to be Christmas? Oh, Christmas Eve, right?
yeah, it probably won't be.
So
long
we probably
time.
won't be doing a show Christmas Eve, but
No. And then we're not going to do a New Year's Eve.
probably not. Like maybe we'll have to go to Wednesdays or something. All right,
We'll make a plan from there.
all right, we'll figure
Sounds
something
good.
out.
All right. We'll see everybody next time.
This has been the
We
Final
need
Round
third
Drag
gen in
Racing Podcast, coming to you live from the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. We'll see you right back here again in 2 weeks. Thanks for watching.